Good evening and welcome everybody to the Gilbert City Council meeting, regular meeting of April 28, 2026. Call the meeting to order now at 6:32. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilor Ratashi.
Present.
Councilor Redpenny.
Here.
Councilor Skrillex.
Here.
Councilor Plotnick.
Here.
Mayor Rorstar.
Here. All right, everybody's here. We can have a meeting. We have a forum. Could everybody help me with the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a couple of additions to the agenda. Can we read them off?
Oh. Under new business, or sorry, under old business, letter J, we have the commercial garbage rates for East Masabi.
Yeah.
Under new business, letter I, we have the Oregon sign on the rock. And under letter J, we have summer help at the office.
Where did we put the downtown bar application?
Oh, we need to add that as well. Or is it on here? No.
Thought it was on here.
I thought it was too, but I guess I don't see it. Then let's under, K for old business. Is that okay, or do you want it somewhere else?
Whole business, yeah.
Okay, downtown bar.
What was under new business under J?
East Masabi. Or under new business, summer help.
Staff.
Yep.
All right. Okay, can we have consent agenda? Council, April 14th, regular meeting minutes, and April 14th, working meeting minutes. Plus the water and light board minutes. I don't know, we don't have that in front of us.
It's in there. It should be,
Yep.
it's after the other minutes. It's a one page.
Oh, they'll be the minutes.
That's on the agenda item.
Yeah, okay, so we have under recommendation. I don't have, I didn't get that. I guess I did. Okay,
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Councilor Skrillex, do I hear support?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Redpenny to approve the consent agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we have public input. Does anybody in the audience tonight have anything they wish to discuss with the council other than what's on the agenda? Kathy, do you have something? Kathy? What? Okay.
Just to see where,
Yeah, come on up to the podium, please, Kathy. I know you're here for something. I'm sure it's about the lot line or
Yeah.
something.
I just wanted to know where you guys are at with it.
The city has already approved it. I have a message from Brian. He said the city's done its part in that matter. He will confirm.
Okay,
We just got a message back from him on that.
okay,
So we've done what we're supposed to. It's kind of, I think it's in the balls in Brian's court,
okay.
I believe.
So just wait to hear from him, or?
I would say yes.
Okay.
You can check back with me, Kathy, and I will keep checking with Brian on your behalf too.
All right, thank you.
It's just up to Brian right now, Kathy. Nothing to do with here no more.
Okay, it's just hard to get a hold of anybody to get back to me, that's all.
Yeah.
I've been trying for a long time, very long.
Well, we brought it up a few times here, and it's up to him now to get it done.
And he might still show up today, I will ask him to come For the loan?
Yeah, Bob.
Oh, you still on that?
Yeah, that's Bob's wife right there.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
That's Bob's wife. Jack.
Yeah.
We talked about it many times and I think it's,
For many years,
yeah. Well, thank you for coming. Leo, you got something?
Yeah, underwater light minutes.
Okay.
Short and simple, I hope. If you notice in your minutes from the Water and Light Board, we made a simple recommendations for the administrative fee of $10, and I'd just like to explain that so you know where we're coming from and why. That's kind of the paperwork shuffle, if you will, but when we reflected on that and looked into that now with the new service for the commercial, the city will be getting essentially two bills. One's for the service of all the different customers, which is 45, and the city crew, the city buildings and stuff. And the other thing is that the reason we came to the point of $10 a month is because we feel that probably the charge for the garbage tipping fee will be somewhere around $3,100 or $3,200 a year for those 45 customers, so that'll be the second bill that she'll be getting. And by raising it to $10, we estimated that you'll probably take in about $5,000 a year for the administrative, and that'll cover the tipping fee that the city will be burdened with for the commercials. So that's why we had to raise it to a higher level. Now, in the past, you used to charge $40 a month and $24 per tip. And now it's a flat rate, I believe, for most customers, depending on the size of the container, and the $10 tipping fee for the city. So that if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to.
I was looking at the chart, they're already recommending the tipping fee charge for us. Did you have this chart from Wasabi?
We just talked about it. We felt that a $10 fee should be adequate for the city's portion of it. But in other words, you went from $32 to all the way up, depending on the size of the bigger container. That wasn't, am I answering your question?
So you're just charging the administrative fee for the office,
The office and to pay for
$10 just for the office, because the
the
tipping
office
fee is
and
kind
the
of.
garbage tipping fee at the sanitary.
Yeah, but the tipping fee is already included in their.
No,
cost.
it's not.
Gilbert tipping charges, they recommend. That's what I'm reading.
I didn't see that, but I can't answer that because I didn't
So,
see
I mean,
it.
if you look at the original email that Jamie sent to Lynn,
Where was
the
it?
original recommendation was a $5 service charge. And I think what they're saying is they did the math on it, and we would be in deficit on part of those charges unless they raised it to 10 for the service
Depending on
charge.
the size of the canister.
So it's basically,
Figured
it's
the
increasing the
pool
pool of the funds that we'll be able to use to pay for all the services.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because he was saying for the tipping, but the tipping should be covered from that,
Yeah.
according to his
Go ahead,
record.
Joe.
That tipping fee that you got from East Musabi was
Yeah.
based on a 10%. And the smaller container, you'd only get like $2.85. That's not enough to cover what you'll need to pay for the tipping fee at the landfill. That's why we went to a different tipping fee of a flat $10, so the city's not gonna come up short.
Okay, so every customer is gonna be charging another $10.
On top of the size of the
City
container.
service.
Yeah.
The city
The
service.
city
Yes.
service. And-
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And even with that, the commercial customers will still be paying
Cheaper.
less for garbage than they are now.
And if the tipping fee comes to more than that, we can up that service charge
Right.
later.
As we see how it goes, but
Right.
that's what we had. It sounds like a lot of money, $10 for tipping fee, but it's really not because you're being included. You're paying so that you have money to pay for the landfill for those 45 customers. Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
So you gotta make a motion.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's, we haven't.
We can do that.
Okay, anybody else? Public input?
I just,
Use the mic if we can, should be a good mic. Press the button.
Donna's, I don't know, it's on, I can talk loud. Donna Sauter, Chair for the Cemetery Board, we were just wondering, we had heard through the grapevine that we were possibly on the agenda, or that the problem with that ditch and that horrible running water possibly taking that wall. Is that on the agenda?
Yes.
It is? Okay, that's all we wanted to know.
It's on new business, way almost right at the end.
Okay, well,
G, letter G.
we'll wait our turn.
If you look at the agenda.
There's one on the podium back there if you'd like one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? Public input? Seeing nobody else, move reports by council or mayor. Councilor Compton, you have anything?
Well, last 2 weeks ago, when I was talking to Matt Reed from SEH, we're talking about that GIS we talked about a little
Can
bit.
you take the mic?
Yeah, talked a little bit about last week, about that GIS, where they kind of put everything in a package as far as our infrastructure and get it all tidied up, and so anybody could come and look and see where any pipe is on the city. Well, and I think a big part of that is gathering information from across the road there. And I think that office should be organized so we can find some of these documents and records. If you go over there, you'll see what I mean. And that would be the start of getting that GIS, getting all the records there and see what we have. And cleaning up that office to make it usable, to find records if need be.
I mean, I think every audit needs a count of fixed assets to do their audit. So there gotta be some paperwork somewhere for that fixed assets.
Well, I'm talking, when they put pipes in, they have all the, surveys and everything, where everything is, and they've cleaned pipes and, they know where everything is, but it's just gathering all that information and then putting it in a GIS form. I'm not familiar with that, but I guess the towns around here, Wabick has it, Virginia has it.
That's what Ryan's.
No, this is different. It's all about just infrastructure, locating your infrastructure.
I'm in favor of something like that.
Get a good record of it, so anybody could come here at any time. So, like say if we lost one of our guys that knew where everything was and he left for some reason, we could have anybody come into there and look and find where all the pipes are.
Usually the engineers have that too, don't they?
Right.
I had a visit from Minnesota Rural Water. There's a gentleman that came from International Falls. His name is Tom Brokaw, which sounds made up, of course, because that's somebody famous, but he did say that they had a service that they could help us with some of that GIS stuff. I did talk to Sam a little bit about it. I have his business card. I don't believe that they charge for that what they do. So maybe it's a conversation that we have.
But I think a good first step would be to clean that office out. If you could ask Sam to do that, to kind of organize it and clean it so we can, make it easier to find stuff.
Well, for about 30, 40 years, I know we had 2 engineering firms, and everything they make a map of, we get a copy and they get a copy. So there's gotta be copies around.
And if that's the case, hopefully when Mr. Jamnick left he left all his information, and I don't know if he did or not.
That's right, but that should be looked into.
Yes, that'd be part of it too.
I guess my question on this is one of the, we're discovering that as we've had changeover, record keeping is not our stronghold. It's not our strong point. And there are some technology solutions for that. And so I would say that if we're going to go forward with a project like that we should be looking to, as much as possible, digitize that information into, there's very little that you can't do with the help of an iPad or a mobile phone. And you should be able to go on site and be able to pull up a map when you need it, if you're in Public Works or, you know, or in the City Hall or whatever, to be able to locate that information. That should all be online at
I
this
think
point.
that's what that GIS does,
Yeah.
you know, puts everything together and puts it online,
And
so anybody can look at it.
I also, like, I know that we try to avoid gaps when they happen, but you know, we've changed engineers a couple of times, and sometimes there's stuff that's missed.
Yeah,
You know, I'm just looking off the top of my head to the conversation about all of the campground stuff, right? Our campground manager should know on paper or on an iPad where all of this stuff is, the emergency shut-off valves, because things break, that happens on weekends, and you know, that kind of stuff. But the same should happen really across the city. You look at the last meeting that we had, I addressed the issue with the fire hydrant that we know is an older one. What a lot of residents don't realize is that we have an emergency response map that pops up in the fire department that locates all of our active fire hydrants. The one that was called into question was not on that map because it's not active, but we're looking to make sure that we know where all these things are.
That could be on that GIS too.
Yeah.
So this is some software we just buy?
Matt Reed was the one that told me about it, and he says by Wabig's done it, they have it all mapped out. Virginia's done it, and other cities on the Iron Range have done this, and it makes it easier for them when they come to a city to look and find out where everything is.
I'm in-
did
I'm
you
in
know,
favor of
So if
some-
he could probably direct us more on that because he's, you know, familiar with it.
did he have an idea what it cost for this?
He didn't know, and it, you know, depends on how much.
Well,
He didn't know, it was quite expensive for Virginia, but they're a lot bigger, they got a lot more pipes in the ground than we do, so I don't know.
Well, I'm in favor of looking into it, I don't know about anybody else.
At least we could get a number on that and see if it's, you know, if it's affordable for us.
This is feelings of the rest of you.
Should be a good idea. Great idea.
I'd like to see a quote, just what that's
Yeah.
gonna cost, and,
Right.
you know.
I mean, at least we can, if it's too expensive to bite off this year, we can plan for it for next
Yeah.
year,
We can phase it, can't we phase it?
Yeah,
possibly.
maybe budget, you know, whatever. But I think Matt Reed would be the one that really, you know, he could.
Yep, I wrote it also, check that.
step forward
Phase
in the
it
right
for a
direction.
quarter of a town or whatever at a time?
Yeah, I don't know how it's done, if they take everything and just condense it into, you know,
I'll ask Matt
whatever,
about it.
I don't know.
So to go farther with what Bob was saying about the office over there and what Paul was saying,
Yeah.
I mean, what would we have to tell Lynn to tell Sam to get done at that office?
Straighten it up and get all the, yeah, paperwork.
I mean, she's gonna need some
into-
direction on it.
What's important, put it to the side, and what's not important, dispose of, you know, and clean up.
Okay.
Right, clean up and,
I also would like to know then what it is, how he should prioritize this with the other things that he has going on.
like on a rainy day, you know, perfect time to go in there and start cleaning.
It's not a top priority, but other things are top priority. Hopefully we can defer what's top priority, what's not, okay?
Right,
I think maybe a better way to look at it is to go with the service that is proposing putting this together, find out what their scope and what their timelines and process normally are. That will give us information to be able to say, what priority do we need to make this? Because if it's a bill that we have to phase in over a couple of years, that's gonna be at a different priority.
right. I think Bob and Rudy are trying to get Sam to get his office cleaned up, that's
Yep,
what the
that's-
point of this is.
Yes,
They're short-staffed, so that's why I'm asking what it is that you want, how you want me to prioritize it.
We're talking about two different things. We're gonna wait for a quote and a phasing, a plan, but this, yeah, I'm in favor of finding important information that's over there that'll organize his office a lot better than it is. And, okay?
yeah,
Right,
And get rid of garbage.
that'd be the
okay?
start, yeah.
right, that was my impression of what they were talking about, that's why I
Well,
asked the
It's
question.
got Bob and Rudy and me, for sure, okay?
With the GIS,
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah, and that would be the start, would be the cleanup in order to, you know,
what we have to
start
find
the
out what they
ball rolling
want
on the
first.
GIS.
And then you want it all, and you know, okay with all this stuff too? And Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, where it gets a little slippery from a personnel and an HR standpoint is giving direction to an employee to clean up their area. I think while that is an important thing, I think it's much more important that we focus on the department and making the department efficient. There's a line there that we have to be careful on.
Right, part of it is organizing it so you can have the records to get the GIS done.
No, I'll just say this. There's been enough 1, 2, 3, 10 times said, and now it's 11th time, okay? It has to be here. I've already, it's a no-brainer. It has to, it's sad it has to come from here, but it's coming from here, okay? That's it.
That was me to clean the office.
Yeah.
There's a cabinet in the back, storage room back there, which is a kitchen cabinet that should be taken out, and he can use that for his,
It shouldn't have
redoing
to,
his kitchen.
shouldn't even have to come this far, but it has, okay? Anything else, Bob?
That's all for me tonight.
Can you guys move your mics closer? It's absolutely not picking up anybody. You have to really be close to them, you guys. They cannot hear it on the
Hear it
video.
now?
I think mine is stopped.
That's it for me.
All right, Counselor Sturba.
There we go. There we go.
Good?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if it works. Yeah, I can hear.
Barely. Okay, I only have 3 items. First one, so I did post on social media that we are looking for volunteers to help plant flowers. So basically I need 2 sets of volunteers, or the same for 2 different days. One is Friday, May 8th to go to pick them up at the greenhouse, and then the other we're targeting May 15th or 17th through 17th, or the 22nd through the 23rd as the actual planting days. If anybody wants to join that, please contact me. My city email is on the website, and I'd be happy to distribute that. So we usually have a good 8 to 10 people that volunteer, which is great. The second item is just kind of a follow-up from last council action item. When we updated the title for Lynn to deputy clerk, one of the things that is just a safety in talking with the city attorney, interim clerk, sorry, thanks for the correction. Because she is literally the person that presses the button for payroll, and there's an adjustment to her compensation, city attorney felt that it was good to have somebody on the council go in and do a validation of that. I did that last week with her, stepped through all of the information. I found that everything is correct and current according to the contract that we put forth with her. So just wanted to report back to that. If anybody has any questions, I do have the documentation. It was pretty straightforward. So, and then the third one is a request for guidance from the council. I did talk to our city attorney about this. My business will be actually starting a side-by-side rental business, and I wanted to donate to the city, specifically the police department and the fire department, the opportunity for free use of these vehicles for a short period of time in May, to be able to go out and familiarize themselves with trails and the OHV park. It would be considered to be a donation. So my question is, does this need to be in the form of a resolution for a future meeting? I'd be happy to work with the clerk on that. I just wanted to get some guidance.
Yeah, I think it has to be a resolution, just like anybody, any other donation to the council. Yeah,
Okay.
So we'll just put a value on it, and it'll be non-monetary.
yeah,
Okay.
just for insurance purposes.
Yeah, and they'll still have to sign the standard waivers like any customer would have to. So.
But it still has to be a legal okey-dokey.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Anything
all.
else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, Councilor Bertoshnik.
I guess I spent most of my time this last week, or whatever it is, at the campground, looking at what Salabit has done for leveling off the grounds and stuff like that.
Who's got, you talking to my, maybe, can't hear you.
Looking at the grounds, And they're doing a pretty good job on that kind of stuff. I was wondering about, I know we talked at the last meeting about the spigots and the type of spigots that we're putting on there, and we were suggesting that they return those. Have they returned, and how many of those spigots did they buy?
Did we suggest I return them?
We didn't have that on record to return.
I didn't.
I know we discussed it because of the price of the $1,590 or something.
Carl said we got them, put them in.
Huh?
Wasn't that what I heard?
Right.
Is that we bought them already, let's put them in.
Yeah.
How many did they put in?
I don't know, I know they put some in, but I don't have a count on
Do you
them.
know how many they bought?
They bought enough for all of them. But I don't know how many they replaced.
When you say all of them, what's all of them?
You said you wanted all of the spigots replaced, so he bought enough to replace them.
50 or 60.
It was whatever was on that form.
I didn't say to replace all of them, because some of them are not those type of spigots. Some of them already have a nice spigot on them. I was talking about the anti-siphon things that
Yeah.
we're putting in those on.
So I recall this conversation too, and I expressed that there was surprise at the cost of them, that they didn't necessarily have to be replaced with those same exact ones. They are over and above what is required by the department. There is a simpler and less costly way of doing it. So if there is still an opportunity for us to return some of those, we should, because the price on them is really high. We're spending, the solution for solving that can be much cheaper in the city.
Okay. Can we in the future maybe have more specific direction about what we would like to have replaced instead of saying replace the spigot?
I agree, it was not
wasn't
100%
clear.
clear.
You mean you want a specific location to replace the spigot?
No, the type of spigot and the number of them that you'd like replaced. If you don't want to replace the ones that have the handle or whatever it is that you're talking about, if those don't need to be replaced, then specific instruction about not replacing those and just replacing the ones that are not similar to that would be helpful.
What about the anti-siphon?
Yeah.
I know there's
Well,
I know in the garage.
technically all of them have to have either backflow preventer on them for anti-siphon purposes. We're talking specifically about
The spigot.
I think they're called yard gates,
Yeah.
which are the ones that have the handle that goes all the way up. One, consumers don't like them because they're very difficult to operate. Two, they're probably 15 to 20 times the cost of putting a regular valve in there. They're extremely expensive and they don't work. They claim to be anti-frost free. Well, we blow out our lines every year because we know that they don't work.
I'm gonna ask the council, Rudy, yourself, and to make a motion here under your business, what actually do you want done down there with the spigot? How many you wanna buy, or,
Well, it's hard to say how many you want to buy because I'd have to go look at every site.
so we give some
You-
direction,
Okay.
some concrete direction here in a form of motion instead of just talking, okay?
Got it.
Is that, can you do that now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that any spigot that has a rusty end on it be replaced. Any spigot that is not the simple turn and those, what do you call those, Paul?
They're yard hydrants.
Yard hydrants, return as many as you can because of the cost of those.
And which ones do you wanna buy? Cheaper ones or better
The
ones?
quarter turn.
And if Sam needs clarification, I can easily stop down there. I think Ruby has enough information to do it.
There's a drawer in the garage down there that's got a number of anti-siphons on there. I don't think they're on there yet. I don't think probably any would have it on there. But I think that they should, city crew or Sam should walk around there and look at every spigot. And you've got a galvanized nickel on there that's rusted and half gone, and I don't think people like putting their, whereas these anti-siphon, there's a brass connection. So,
Okay, everybody understand Rudy's, motion?
And I'll support that.
Support by Councilor Skrvik, any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
the second thing I wanted to bring up was, we have an election coming up, and I know there's an election computer in the office over there that they never touched, because it's an election computer. don't want to do that. Has
In
Mary
the
ever
office?
done that?
Is
I don't even know what
office,
you're talking about.
I was gonna say, what is, in the office over there, the election computer, I don't know what that means.
In the
It's
storage
nothing-
room?
It would
on
be
the
nothing
desk?
I've ever been familiar with, no one's ever talked to me about it.
The one next to the server?
The one next to the server, that computer that's sitting on that desk, that says election on it.
Okay, I didn't know it's an election, nobody touches it.
Donna, do you know anything about that?
Donna Sauter?
Yeah.
No, I don't. All I know is what's in this little closet here.
Yeah, she wouldn't know anything about it.
Is there another computer in the back room that the 3rd of July uses?
I know there's in that closet over there also, there's an election.
Oh.
But I wanted to make sure that somebody was, like,
I guess I'm not familiar with what.
Mr.
we-
Nealon used to sit at the desk there
Yeah.
and do it on the computer.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Jeremy's. He was the, head of the,
Election judge.
election judge.
Mhm.
And the rest of us were just,
But he's never,
What are we
I've been here for 3 years and he's never been in there using a computer. We've never used a computer for elections since I've been here.
Okay.
so
So
it's just in this closet, there's a few things.
Election machine, and
Yeah,
some other things.
could we maybe request that he come to see, because this is part of the IT inventory, right? That we're doing. Because we're doing it, and we don't want to obviously touch a computer that is not for city purposes. Could we maybe request that he come here and do the head election
He
judge?
passed
He
away.
passed.
We'll have
That's
to-
what it is.
But the county has been in contact with us for all election stuff already. But, I mean, we can talk to them, but we've never used a computer for any election stuff.
Ultimately, we just need to know, what are the things, the items in this building, because I know there's the booths and all that kind of stuff, that are the items that are used for elections,
Right?
and anything that might say, like a computer that says election on it, is that something that we can dispose of?
Does it say election on that computer by the
Yes.
server?
Yes.
On the, not on the screen, but out on
We never plugged it in, I didn't do anything with it, I just
No.
left it
the,
there.
we haven't either.
We just need somebody to verify.
We need to verify, we want to be ready for the election, we don't want to be running around when election time comes, so
Right,
I'd like to have it so somebody would be
We can,
prepared.
we can ask the county about it, but like I said,
And
we've
have
never
somebody
used
come
a
over
computer.
and make sure your stuff is ready to go, so when the
we already
election-
have an appointment with Virginia to drop off the election machine or the counter machine, what is it, what it's called?
Has anybody used that machine? Do you know how to run
At the
that
last
machine?
election.
No, we have to take it in, down to the Virginia Public Works,
And then
here
they
at the end of
train us on it
135.
every election.
And they're going to update it. Sam is going to take it, I believe it is, I have it on my calendar, May 8th, Thursday? Or Wednesday?
Yes. it's a-
May 7th? May 7th, I believe it has to be taken there to be programmed or recertified or whatever.
Or is it
The
actually-
desk, is the desktop,
Is that the rock?
yes.
Yes,
Don, what do you got?
well, just one thing, you will have to replace Jeremy. I'm assuming somebody's thought about that because it was the election judge. And the rest of us don't have his qualifications at all.
So we need to ask the county
Right.
how we can get somebody certified.
We
And
have 2 trainings a year, and it's usually during the summertime.
Yeah.
It's usually cotton or summer, kind of in the middle, but we have to find out what you guys are doing. And Jeremy's a huge asset,
He
he's
was.
very knowledgeable, so there's not very few people out there that do it. Each city usually has one person that really knows what's going on. No offense, but the rest kind of go along with
oh,
what.
he's the
election
boss.
does.
He
Yeah.
was definitely our leader.
Well, there's a workshop for that, isn't there?
It's a full 8-hour training, I believe, and it might be another 8 hours, it's either 8 or 16 hours.
So is all that time paid for, or do they have to donate their time? to get
The city usually pays for it. I can't remember what the hourly thing was. It was like $15 an hour. It was
Yeah, I
pretty
believe-
minimal. The election judges get paid.
Well, there's a list of people that work the elections that we have to agree on here. And the leader is on there, so we need to, gotta get that list. pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yep,
We have to
actually, we
leave.
just pulled the list because Lynn hasn't been here for elections either. And like I said, the county has just started emailing us about it, so we're getting the list to them and getting suggestions on how we proceed since we don't have that top election judge anymore.
Well, if there's training and workshops, let us
Right.
know, you can
Okay.
attend. And if you can get some help, some hints from other communities or the county, get them as quickly as we can, because, well, you have till July, because you maybe have a primary in August or so, yeah, August. Yeah.
Right, well, we wanted to do it sooner than later because, like I said, they have the training schedules starting to come out right now, so.
Okay.
Lynn, I'll talk to the county, I'll have them contact you.
Okay.
Hopefully.
And
this-
Jeremy
this week.
wasn't staff. I mean,
Right.
he wasn't one of these guys,
Right.
you know, or whatever, what was the guy's name before? Mike, it wasn't Mike. Jeremy was a separate role to what Mike did to get Jeremy and us organized.
Well,
It's
here's
just a
another,
matter, with all the turnover, I just want to get ahead of it.
there's one more
Right.
thing, I think council should get the list here, and we should authorize, ask everybody on that list, who on that list would like to be the lead on that list. So we get okay that person and get that person trained.
Yeah, we can
Get it
absolutely
moving
draft,
along so that we're ready.
yeah, we can draft a letter, put a deadline on it, ask them to respond by a certain day.
Okay?
Is there also gonna be a primary this year?
We don't know yet.
We don't know. Oh, actually, we do know, there should probably be at the state level, there should be a
Well,
primary.
we don't know what city, each state will have one, yeah. Sure they will.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be ready for
We'll have to be ready
August.
for it.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get that list out to the folks.
We have
and-
Minnesota's primary date for election in 2026 is August 11th.
And so we'll be
Secretary of
ready
State
for that.
website.
By the next council meeting, I'm gonna ask for that list. And if you know if anybody on the list has responded to be on the list and to be the lead person.
Yep.
And then we can get those people trained, okay?
And Lynn, just so you're aware, I'm sure you're already, so by charter, the implementation of this does fall to the clerk. So,
Or interim clerk, same thing.
or interim clerk, yes.
Same thing, same thing.
And I believe legally, whoever is the highest in the city, the clerk or interim clerk, is also the person that has to deliver the ballots. So,
Okay.
just so you expect that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all, Mayor.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ryan?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, I have 3 items. Real quickly, we're going to move this along, I mean. New York Avenue for Ty. I've got complaints from the neighbors again. Our situation down there is getting up bad again.
Yep, it's on the list, I'm actually bringing it up tonight, so
Okay,
it's my first item of business, so.
all right. Number 2, I've got phone call conversation with Mr. Mackey. He's purchased and has won the award for the school property. They're gonna be closing on May 15th. And he talked to me about the playground equipment, and I know I told him about 2-3 years ago, the school had donated that playground equipment on that property to the city, and it's still not been removed yet. And he said, yeah, we'd like to have the city take it, but we cannot take it till May 15th. What?
Wasn't that brought up at a previous meeting that that equipment is not,
It's not code.
it's not code?
Not code,
So
I
we
do
can't use it.
recall that.
Yeah.
We can't use it.
Okay, if we can't use that, I know in 2022, we got it donated, and we never went to get it, but something happened after that.
It
Yeah,
just wasn't up to
I thought
code.
we asked the city to take care of it, get rid of it, but they didn't.
Because we were gonna move it also off of the property, but the city can't because I think the last council, they decided that it wasn't up to code.
Well, I don't
Yeah, I don't
think, didn't he
remember.
just say that we can't remove it until after he closes on the property, because then it's his?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
right now, school has it,
Yeah.
and there's probably another agreement already, but he said, when he takes over on May 15th, he don't want that liability.
Yeah. Can we clarify the timeline with him? Because I think, from what I understand of playground equipment, one of the only reasons why the city was really the only entity that could is the liability and the insurance that's required with playground equipment follows the owner of it. So if we would have taken possession of it, we would have assumed all previous liability for that. And that's one of the reasons why it doesn't transfer, and one of the reasons why I think we found that it couldn't be used. So, I don't know the details of his purchase agreement, but I would assume that whomever his lender is would look at that and see, we don't want to close on this property until we have an agreement that it'll be removed.
And if we remove it, then we have liability?
No, if it's removed and disposed of, we don't have liability.
Okay.
So is it up to the school to get rid of it? It's their property, it's on their property.
Right, so if we get rid of it for Mr.
Let the
Mackey,
school
then
take care of it.
are we charging him to get rid of it, or what are we?
Right, where's our, yeah, we have a lot
I
of
don't think it's our
liability.
responsibility anymore because it's on school property.
Well,
It's up to them.
We never had anything in writing, which is a problem.
well, 3 years ago, we got to, like you were talking about donating something, we got a letter from them, they donated that stuff. I think we
Okay.
agreed to a resolution to take it, but it never got done. So
So-
there's a resolution, I think, way back 3-4 years ago.
Okay, so if they donated it to us, then it is our property. And then
So we can take it at any time if it's
In
ours.
writing, yeah.
If the school donated it to
That's
us.
my recollection again, though. I'm pretty sure.
that rings a bell for me.
I can look it up.
So, but for sure, on May 15th or 16th, it's got, and he would help with his workers to take care of that.
So even, I just want to clarify, so what you're saying is, he bought the property, we agreed that we were going to take that equipment, whether we can use it or not, we have to take
Back
it?
up 3-4 years. We
Right.
Back up 3-4 years.
Okay,
We already agreed.
that's what I'm asking, I just want to make sure.
Because I think at the time, I think we were gonna plan on using it and moving it, some of it down to the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah, I remember that
Right, yeah,
conversation.
yeah, we did talk about that, but I think at the time, I don't know if it was insurance or what, because it was outdated.
They said
It
it's
would've-
outdated,
It would have
can't
been
be
too much.
used.
Yes, and ultimately, I think it was an insurance issue, why we couldn't.
I think we still can take it, but we don't have to take
Take it to the dump.
Okay, well, but that can't happen until he says,
Unless we can find the resolution that they gave it to us ahead of time, then we could do it before they close.
the resolutions of 23 and 21 and 22,
We'll look through them,
okay?
we have them online.
And the last one here, we got council, a letter from Mr. Tom Nemich from Wasabi Batunis on some property down on Lake Orbegon. It's nothing to do with that other project yet. I took a ride with him and he's asking in his letter here for permission to do some testing of Lake Orbegon on this side where Zenith is looking at developing the homes there. Testing for future sand pits for their operation, for their future, yeah. And also down by Woody's, that peninsula down there, those two areas, permission for the council to do some test digging. And they put it back together if it's any warranting any future sand pit for them. And then he mentions about a 25-year-ago agreement that is, I think it's null and void by now. It's not in the picture at all. And I talked to Bob earlier about it. He filled me in a little bit on it. And so that's null and void. So, number one, and I even told him on my ride that there's no way, as much as I want them to find some sand pit for future operations, because we want to keep them operating where they are, there's no way, even if they test this and it's good, positive for them, I'm not going to okay no sand pit that close to a residential area. And number one, take away 200 homes over here that we have in the back room there, right, in those potential 200 or 300 homes. And then down here, close to the residence, even down there, close to the residence. So I would say just forget about a sand pit on this, and I'm gonna vote for something like that. So I don't even know why we even give permission to start, to even find out if it's good enough for a sand pit.
It would be a waste of energy and time.
Yeah, waste of energy, but as much as I would like to see them find something, but not that close, maybe farther that way, away from a good quarter mile away, or something like that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm just saying, I don't think we should, I wanna act on this letter that we got, other than just saying, if the council agrees with me, like I just said. To go back to him and to say, sorry, even if you found something good, potential land, there's no way that this council, and I'm sitting on, I'm not voting for that. Maybe some other future council might, but I'm not gonna jeopardize 200, 300 homes, plus the noise and dust to other residential areas for a sand pit.
Well, if I may, one of the things that I would chime in on too is that some of these properties, actually all of them, I think, are also overlapping in existing trail zones. And we only have one major economy left in this town, and that's tourism, and they rely on those trails, which I've been very open about. I want to do whatever we can to protect those trails from being taken over and blocked. So I couldn't support this either.
So I would, I hear two votes saying to deny the permission. I tell you what, to make it easier, I'm gonna make a motion based on not that we don't want them to find something, but not what they are talking about in this letter, okay? On this side of the Lake Orbegon, and so close to the residential area, and jeopardizing our potential housing development, jeopardizing noises and dust and safety and welfare of current residents, plus jeopardizing our trails, as we already talked to the housing developer. He said he was gonna make sure they're still intact. Based on all that, I don't see why even to try to waste of time. I'm not gonna vote for no development of a sand pit, even though if they find good soil. What about anybody else? That's my motion. I'm gonna deny this request.
I'll second.
Sit up the chair.
Mayor stepped up, the chair made a motion to deny the request from South Bid not to do exploratory testing, digging in the aforementioned area that is around Lake Orbegon. It's been seconded by Councilor Skirvik. Do we have discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Chair's back to the mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, council. All right, that's all I got. I see the fire chief here? No. Fire Lindsay? No. Police chief, Ty.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's already 7:30, we haven't pulled business yet, so I'll try to move fast. But 3 items. I'd like to be put on the agenda next council meeting for blight hearings. I expect to have 3 properties for the hearings. One's a different point and 2 are in town here. So we'll start with 3 properties, see how fast it goes, as we'll be here until 10 to 11 o'clock. We're going to try to do 3 properties every meeting. So then when you talk about New York, wouldn't be until the second meeting of May, just FYI. The second thing is I've been tasked with demolition of buildings in town. We've got 5 buildings we'd like to take down, 3 on Main Street and 2 in our residential neighborhoods. Generally, the police department doesn't do it. I'm learning kind of trial by fire as far as how this works. Part of the problem is I'm not a building inspector, so we have to find somebody that can do the building inspections. We do not have that. I've had some quotes of around $1,000 to $1,500 per place to do the assessments. The reason for doing that, in order to even start to even consider condemning a building, it has to meet a threshold of 50% of the assessed bad value. So it has to have more damage than what 50% of the assessed value. That's one of the little loopholes for that. Not a problem, but we have no budget for doing this. There's no budget, there's nowhere in the budget, I would say, for $5,000 to $10,000 to even start this process. Because if we start the condemnation process, it'll be, I'm sure, a fair amount of money for our city attorney to do that once we do find a building inspector. I'm anticipating probably $5,000 per building just to complete the process. The other issue is IRRB funds about $225,000 to $250,000 in grants for taking down these buildings. Two of our buildings are very large. They generally only reimburse $4 per square foot for taking these buildings down. So I'm usually hearing around $10 to $14 per square foot to have somebody come and take it. So that would mean that generally property owners aren't going to cooperate because if it's going to be an empty lot, there's really no tax forfeit. So that's one of the problems. Or if the building can be done for 75% of what the total cost, if you took the $4 per square foot, then either way it's going to cost them money. So that's something to consider. I know some people in town are upset that some of these buildings have been sitting here for a few years. Again, we're trying to take it on, but we really have never done this before. There's no other police department in northeast Minnesota that's ever done this, so just be patient. We're trying to figure this out. So that's one thing I need to know is we want to start looking at money, because once I start the process, it's going to start costing some money. So just, you don't have to make a decision tonight, I just need to know so I can continue the process. So Lieutenant Tricon will be meeting with IRRB to see how much. Again, keep in mind, $225,000 is not a lot of money when 27 other agencies or communities are also applying for this grant. So, if we get awarded $450,000, it's not going to get a whole lot done. When you consider two of the buildings on Main Street are, they're probably 10,000 square feet right there. So, we got a lot of money sitting there. So, just an FYI. Second issue is, I know there's been a lot of conversation about the shooting we had in town the other night. There's a few things that we're trying to work on in regards, it wasn't so much the shooting, but we have certain houses in town that have become problems for us. 11% of our properties in town are rental properties. 56% of our disturbances are at the rental properties. 30 to 33 narcotic search warrants that we've served for methamphetamine have been rental properties. So it just kind of tells you what happens. Virginia used to have as high as 48%. I can tell you this, they have a little higher crime rate than the city of Gilbert does. I tried when I first become chief to enact a rental ordinance. I will never do that again because I almost got chased out of this council chambers when we tried that. Due to the fact that a lot of people who have rental properties live in town here and they're very upset because of the parameters we put in. I would say about 50% of the properties that we have that are rental properties, the owners do not even live in town, in northeast Minnesota or even the state. We have got owners that have rental properties in California that have never been to Gilbert, and we're trying to deal with them with these blighted properties and stuff. The majority of our calls, we've got one residence, we've been up there 21 times, I think since December. So that's just one of the problems. We have a quiet town. The problem is about 5% of our properties are problems. And most is drug related, and of course alcohol related. So just want to put it out there, and this is one of the rental properties that has had some issues, so just want to let you know about that. So that's all I have, thank you.
I do want to thank you for that. That is actually a kind of a item that's been in my view for a while. It's part of why I've been looking into the short-term rental licensing and ordinances. But I think the longer-term rental is also a big problem, particularly as you're saying that half of them are absentee landlords. And as uncomfortable as it is, I think this is an area where this council should seriously look at what our existing codes are. Problem properties can generally only be solved through code enforcement. The problem with code enforcement is we need to have the codes on the books so that you can do your job. And so I think that is something that I definitely would like to work with you on to see what we can do, even if it's baby steps, to help improve some of those things. Because a problem property is a problem for several residents around that property. And it decreases property values overall, it creates additional law enforcement calls. So it's one of those things that we have a responsibility to look at, regardless of how uncomfortable it is. Part of our job as counselors is to be uncomfortable and to get things done so that the larger problems are not affecting the city. I don't want us to turn into Virginia. I don't want us to have the issues that they have over there. And it's been, just in the last several years, I've seen those problems increase, and we need to put our foot down and stop that. So you have my support. I'm more than happy to work with you on those.
Thank you. Yeah, and like I said, I take blame in a lot of this stuff too. Is the blight, I consider that to be a big issue. The problem is see, we did the court system. We've had tickets sit there for 2 years before judges even hear it because it's a low priority. We're trying a new way. The issue is then finding people that want to go on these properties to clean them up. I mean, we've had people who have taken their license plates off their vehicles to help us clean up just because they don't want to be followed by these individuals, because we have to stand there. That's the other problem too, is we have to have a property clean up for 6 or 8 hours. We have to physically stand there to prevent some issues from happening. Now, not all properties, but we've got some properties that I wouldn't feel comfortable cleaning up if there was no law enforcement standing there. So that's the other problem too, is when summer picks up, our call volume goes up 30 to 40%. So that's usually the time we do the cleaning. So it is my fault. I'll take blame for maybe some lack of follow through. And what I'm trying to do now is, it doesn't help them down. A couple officers, one's just got pulled up to National Guard, so I'm losing him this summer during the busiest time. So I've lost another officer for 3 to 4 months for guard duty. So it comes on the priorities, and I think it's a very important priority for this community. Counselors have made comments to me about it, and I just, I apologize that we haven't followed through as well as we should. But again, every city's kind of trying to deal with it, and I think as a police department we can deal with it. It's just, we have to prioritize. So I'm trying to take 3 or 4 of the worst properties, get that going. I think if we can get, 12 to 16 properties a year, that helps. The problem is, our biggest problem is as soon as we clean it up, we're dealing with the same properties again. So, and that goes with the grass cutting too. That's one of the biggest issues we have. And it comes down to, we've got landowners that have never done a Gilbert before, and they own, I've got one guy who owns property in town here, he has over 400 properties he owns. He's never been in Minnesota, from California. So that's part of the issues that we're dealing with. So we spend a lot of time chasing people, trying to get things taken care of.
We do need to have some basic standards for rental properties. And that's both in terms of the problems that we see, but also, some of these structures, I'm willing to bet that we would go into, and there are some that don't even have basic things like smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors, or don't have proper egress for public safety. And so some of those things are things that we can solve pretty quickly. And I would venture to bet that that would help cut down some of those.
And I do apologize, like I said, we're trying to make a little better effort and trying to get this place cleaned up a little better. But it's not as easy as it sounds, but I can certainly do better, and I will certainly try, okay? Thank you.
Can you email those 3 addresses to members of the council so they can see?
Yep.
And I know that,
In fact, we just did case files, so I will have copies made tomorrow, and I'll get them out to you guys.
I know that blight starts a little bit at a time in an area. You go into an area, some nice blocks, and some of the old residents are not here anymore. The kids don't live here, they sell the house cheap. We have a house up in Minnesota that was taken off the market, back on the market, it's $80,000. There is no front yard, it used to be Mrs. Hogan's house, across from the gas station, and then we have one over on Indiana, I think it is, it's selling for $80,000. Next to Mr. Schneider's house, whatever that is. Those houses are going to be bought because they're cheap, and what happens in those houses is they buy the cheap house, and some people do take care of them. I grant it. There's a lot of people that want to live here and do take care of their homes, but there's a lot of people that buy just for a place to stay, just for a place to farm. And I think that hurts to see. I mean, we do not have a monetary charge that we can charge, say if they receive a notice that they have something wrong with the property. None of our ordinances have that. I mean, I don't know if it's legal to do that, to say, well, you're gonna get a ticket because your place is in blight, and we consider it blight. You will get a ticket if it's not cleaned up for $100, $50, whatever it is. For the second time, if it does it again, it'll be paid. And most of them probably wouldn't pay it. So does it go to court, or does it go on the taxes? You can go to
I can
court.
partially answer that for you. So we do, as a city, we do have a right to require anyone who's operating a business to have a business license. That's how apartments generally get licensed and get oversight from a city, from a zoning perspective and from a code enforcement perspective. So if somebody is making revenue off of a property, we do have the ability to have an oversight process, and that's where we start.
Yeah, and the issue, you've seen, I believe it was 8 years ago, we had 7% rental properties, so we're starting to see an increase in rental properties. And one of the reasons is because we have no regulation. Virginia took down, if you take away the public safety building, they demolished, I believe, 40 houses or condemned them. They were actual rental properties, and that took care of a lot of the problems. In fact, a lot of the names I hear on the radio are now prohibited, so they've moved. The problem with Gilbert right now is, like you said, houses are cheaper, number one. Two, we have no oversight, so, like, again, you talked about fire detectors and CO2 detectors. There's no way of following through on that from the city. Virginia's doing that now, and it's making it a bit tougher for these landlords. So Gilbert's kind of become a target, not just us, but when you get to Whitewater or Lower White Lakes, we do not have a real solid plan. So we're starting to see it kind of bleed out from the Virginia area. And we're seeing it, like I said, people who are owning the properties are people have never heard of, so.
And I know that in some parts, it starts little by little. You have a nice neighborhood, you got a nice block and an old house there, and somebody buys the old house. And what happens is, it becomes a blight area.
Yep.
And then he values the houses all around.
Yep, and that's where I'll take the blame for it. There's this thing called the broken windows theory. And the theory is, if one window breaks, if you don't fix that window, then you invite more breaking. And that's the problem that we need to deal with. And as a chief, I need to make sure that I follow through with it. And I'm trying to, and in summertime it's so busy that for us it's not a priority, but we understand that it's a priority for this community, so we're going to try to make a better effort for it. So I apologize.
Yeah, we have people parking on the streets, parking on the sidewalks. I was up on Summit Street the other day, and the street sweeper was coming down there, but since people are parking up across the sidewalk, the back end sticks out of the curb, the street sweeper had to go around the vehicles and couldn't get close to the curb. I'm thinking, I know they were warned once before, they were told, but 2 days later they go right back to doing it.
Would it help to maybe make a committee, because you guys are so busy that, and it's such a big issue, so that we can also put in, some standard or whatever ordinances, whatever we need to do? I mean, I've been here for almost 3 years. We've talked about this several times. And it's, they're so busy, but maybe it would help if there was some sort of a committee or something.
We've had, I know, blight committee, ask for blight volunteers, a blight officer, and we go to a police officer as the blight officer. I think Megan is it, an officer?
Yeah, we're the only, we have an officer, we're the only one of, I think, 3 police departments of the 27 that actually do blight enforcement. So.
I asked for 3 years ago, a blight officer, paid stipend in the town here, and nobody wanted it because sometimes it's not very safe. Not very safe to go and knock on somebody's door and say, clean it up or else, Then it had to be done brought back to the police department.
I'll ask Councilor Scrooge, is it legal to put a monetary value on a blight area?
We have done that too, it's $200-300, I think.
But do we build it?
City attorney I don't think we can go over 300
I don't know,
at a time.
at a time. And then send it to election.
Yeah. I think we're talking about 2 entirely different things. I think, so blight generally falls under the violation of some code or ordinance, which we have, which that's treated very separately than the housing and the
Well,
rental issue.
I'm talking about the blight, it's an ordinance, but can we put a monetary value on that ordinance?
I think it's safe to say we can put a monetary value on each occurrence. I don't know the ordinance itself. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Well, a person has blight in the yard,
I thought the ordinance was changed to the maximum a while back.
and there's a penalty for having it.
Yeah.
Well, and the other issue with that is, I can tell you this, that a majority of our blighted properties are also on our shut-off list for water and light. So we can turn into collections. The chance of us collecting the probably very slim.
Yeah, we don't get no help from the judicial system at all.
It's a cyclical thing. I mean, it's one of those things where it kind of swirls around the drain until all of a sudden it goes in and you got a problem. They stop paying utilities, they stop taking care of the property, it becomes an eyesore, blight issues. You can put all of these expenses on the overall, the tax, when they sell the property, but the reality is these properties don't get sold a lot either. They just continue to be ongoing problems until somebody steps in, either takes it down or removes it, or has something to incentivize a sale and a rehab of it, which I don't believe St. Louis County has, or IRRR has any money to put into any type of rehabilitation. But that may be something that we work with IRRR on, is that we have a lot of very old housing stock in the city that more and more of them are becoming vacant. Is there a program as part of handling new housing development? What about a refurbishment of existing housing stock? I'm sure that with housing being such a high priority for IRRR, that they have to be looking at
They have a program
rehabs.
already.
Yeah.
They do have a
So
program
how
already.
can we engage with that? And if it helps 2 homes or 3 homes, that's 2 or more homes that would
Right.
be better.
Yeah, it's county-wide, so, it may not even touch Gilbert. All that money's used elsewhere.
Okay,
Do you think that working one area at a time is better than skipping from one side to the other, picking a house here or a house there? I mean, looking at one block and saying, we're gonna clean this block up?
Well, I think one of the approaches we're taking right now, and I just had a meeting by Waback, we're taking the same approach, is we're gonna go out to the front yards first, and then can be seen from the street. Like I said, if you take a ride around the other communities, you start driving through alleys, we're not as bad as some other communities. You know, some of the communities, I think they've been bombed in some areas, and I'm not being facetious, it's that serious. But I think by cleaning up the front of the yards, I think we start with that. We deal with some properties. There's one on Different Point that's it's a mess. Everybody sees it. So I think if we can do that first, go after the junk vehicles. That's what I'm doing right now. Is trying to take some of we have a house on Ohio that has I think 7 cars on the property. So we're going to take those first. They're parked out front, and then I think we'll chip away that way. And if there's ones that you get complaints on, come to me, and we're trying to prioritize it. So. Again, I don't want to set up 15 blight hearings here because it'll take 3-4 hours to do that. So we'll try to bring 3 or 4, and even if you guys were to abate those properties, I have to find 15 people or somebody to come and do 15 properties, which means I have to have an officer standard for those 15 properties. So we're trying to, it's kind of a baby step type of deal. So, but keep in mind, if we do abate the property, we go on the property and clean it up, then what happens is we bill them. 30 days, do not pay anything, goes in the property. We can assess that to taxes. So we will get our money back at some point. So that's one thing that's good about the way our ordinance is written, is that we will recoup our money. It might be 7-10 years, but we will recoup it. So.
okay, we're gonna move on. Anything else?
Sorry, I said it would be short, but I didn't recall.
Just quickly, Clyde, there's gotta be more money, not just that extra RV, more grants to look for, more doors to knock on. Those 5 places have to go down. They've been up too long. Don't lose your eye on the ball there, okay?
Well, yeah, I would ask you as elected officials to maybe bark up some trees, because I'm good at grants with law enforcement. When it comes to building demolition, I don't even know where to start looking. I mean, it's just not in my wheelhouse, so
Just keep focused on
Yeah.
that, okay?
we'll try to work on things.
Plus, the parade, you got the permits for a parade?
Yes, we'll be filing those usually the third week of May, so I believe the other issue is nobody has approached us in regards to the street dance. Rumor is there's a street dance on July 4th. And that is completely separate from the 3rd of July committee, so. Yeah, so we've got the permits ready for the parade. We have not heard anything. We've not had a formal request to the council for the street dance, so. And they have to make the request because I carry the $3 million liability insurance policy for that.
We know we're gonna have some parades, kitty parade
And,
and other parade.
But that's all taken care of already.
Do you have a new officer?
I know, we are interviewing Friday night here. We're interviewing 3 individuals, so.
Because I saw the last check register that there was a clothing allowance for a new officer for $100 and some dollars charged to the police department.
For a new officer,
New officer?
Well, it was charged to the police department. for
Would have
clothing.
been,
They have a clothing allowance.
they have a clothing allowance, but I'm not
It
sure.
was
Yeah.
charged to a different name.
Okay, well, we keep very good records in our office. Michelle's got every receipt, and every officer, she's got a spreadsheet, so.
I think if you look at the last check register, you'll see a name on there with $100 and some dollars charged to the police department.
Okay,
That's why I was asking if you had an officer.
yeah, no, and actually, I was down 4 officers, I believe, we're down 1, so yeah, it's been a little tight getting people, so.
I think that was for Joe or Jake, one of those.
I know, yeah, I was gonna say, I think Jake.
It's not a big deal, we have everything record, so
Yeah.
we'll be able to dig it up, so.
Okay, Lynn,
Okay, I have a couple things, let me see, I just wanna make sure. There's a conference for the League of Minnesota Cities at the end of June that I would like to attend. First time attenders is $275. And a hotel, I think, is $477 is what I looked at. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I just want to find out if that's all right for me to sign up to go.
yeah, I would recommend we okay that.
Lynn and I talked about that. This is actually the one conference that there is a lot of connection for, particularly clerks and your own clerks, deputy clerks. Some of our cohorts around the area, I think last year we were the only city in the Iron Range that didn't go. So I think there's definitely some value.
Second the motion.
Huh?
I second the motion.
Do you have one?
I'll make the motion.
There you go.
Move by Councilor Skrillex, supported by Councilor Bertocci to allow city interim president to go to this conference.
Okay, thank you. Do we have to do the vote, sorry?
Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
One other thing, I had a conversation with the attorney today, and he mentioned that we might want to approve the contract with Lakehead for the water treatment plant with the contingency of financing, so that we can have that done and out of the way before we get the loan. And if the loan doesn't go through or whatever, then the contract becomes null and void, but at least we have that done ahead of time so that we're not waiting. And it would also give Lakehead an assurance that we plan to move forward. And, let's see, yeah, and he said there really is no risk to us because we have the contingency that if the financing falls through or doesn't happen, then the contract doesn't happen.
Well, I wish you would have known that earlier, but it can't happen tonight.
No, that's okay. It can't happen tonight. I did ask Matt Reed, his opinion about doing something like this. I know Brian said that he thought it was a good idea, but from a perspective of projects, I asked Matt, and he said, absolutely. He said, I think that, I mean, obviously we can't do it today, but it wouldn't PFA wouldn't come through in 2 weeks anyway. So it would be a good idea, I mean, as far as he's concerned, it would be a good idea.
I've told Lakehead and I've told PFA that I would like to have, before knowing this here, from the attorney, that I wanted I made an appeal on not needing those 2 audits,
Right,
because nothing's gonna change to say that we don't need the money, okay? We need
Right.
the money. Number one, to get that before us before the second council in May. meeting.
It'll be at the next meeting. I will,
But this part that you just said could be sped up to that first meeting in May.
yes,
But I wanted PFA to give us some kind of a okay, so we could okay it with the other route,
Right.
Route A instead of Route B, on the 26th of May.
right.
But if Brian says we can do this with contingencies, could have done that a long time ago.
I know, exactly.
No, I'm so happy now we get this word.
Right.
But I know PFA is gonna give us that
Money.
their opinion or their okay
Mhm.
before Memorial Day,
Yes,
so the day after Memorial Day, we could really legitimately, well, it's still legitimate as Plan B,
Mhm.
okay? That
Yep.
was the plan, all right?
So, that was
Put that on the
Brian.
next meeting,
Yes, I have.
sure, all right?
Yep, but I wanted to give you that update that Brian and I had talked about.
Oh
Let me
my
see.
gosh, I tell you what.
Does it make you?
This has been, this should have been, if that, I'm not gonna say nothing.
No, it's okay. I also, let's see, I think
You
that's.
know, we jeopardized 10 months of a bid here. It could have been done 10 months ago with that wording, with
Right.
that opinion.
Yep.
Jeez.
Anything else I have is on the agenda already for like the summer help and stuff, so.
All right, I'm gonna move up. The new business, I have people in the audience, I'm not gonna waste no more time here sitting listening to us. We're gonna take G under new business, Wasabi bituminous quote for the ditch near cemetery. I know we did talk about this in great length, a while back. I think Matt Reed gave us that bid from, it was like $100,000 or something, wasn't that, from somebody anyway?
Engineer.
It was-
Yeah.
I believe it was, I just looked at it, I think it was 60,000.
Yeah, and then we
60.
got a bid from Wasabi for
From
30,
Matt.
wasn't it?
1.6 or 6.0?
60.
$60,000.
I think. I also have access to Mike's email now, so I can see things things in the past. And, Mike did send an email to Matt and say that we were gonna probably go another route, so. But I couldn't find anything with
I
the,
know we have the property owners next to the cemetery here, if they want to speak on it, but didn't we have a bid? We don't have it here.
it should be in there. Oh, no, Sam brought it later in the day.
It was the same one we got many years,
Yeah,
months ago?
30,
Was that the one that he brought?
yes, he brought it when you were there, Paul. It was
30-some thousand bucks?
$30,000 to do it, and that's for 20 tons. Anything over 20 tons of material would be an additional $70 per ton or something. I can get a copy of it, I left it on my desk, I'm sorry.
Where are they gonna put the material?
In the ditch where the water runs.
Or they just wash it again?
Well, they're burning the ditch, so get it away from the wall.
I'm talking to a property owner that's up there.
Yeah.
There are some plumb culverts, I think, that we
Well,
should just
yeah,
open
landowners
first.
maybe speak to that.
Well, they were gonna go through,
Please come up to Mike.
what I understood is they were gonna go almost from where the culvert is, come straight down from there, and come straight down from there, and then take and backfill where the ditch is now, so that it would fill that all up.
So you're talking the culvert where that brush pile was, that one road? that
Well,
culvert
there's
that-
two things that you can do that would take care of a lot of it right off the bat. Up by the gas plant, there's a culvert up there. That goes across the road, that goes up towards Hopkins Park. And I showed Sam that, and I said, if you dug that culvert out, because in the wintertime, we get that spring that's up there, that culvert plugs up right away.
Do you need a culvert there?
You don't need a culvert there. You could dig that out, and that would save that road. That road is always being washed out.
Yeah.
This year, I went up there, it was the first Saturday of April. The water was running off that hill. It was running right down that road, right down into the yard, down beside my house, into the ditch. It took my wife and I about 3.5 hours, and we slowly, used a grub hole and a shovel, and we got that chipped out, and we got the water going into the woods up there. And took care of it, just like that. But, you know, that culvert freezes, so that's one thing that's bad. Then the culvert where the brush pile is right now, that thing was, the water was just running over the road, running down over the, by the big piles of dirt, right over the new the new power line, where, for the cemetery for the lights, and it was running into the cemetery, so we kind of diverted that back behind the wall. But I mean, if you change that culvert right there and put a bigger culvert or dug it right out, I don't know what the plans are, if they're gonna put a cemetery back there or not. But that's where all the water is coming off that hill. And the DNR right now just sent the crew of guys up there to cut all the brush down.
Which
And
just makes
that's-
it worse.
And that makes it worse because that stops the water.
We literally, Lynn and Sam and I just had this conversation this morning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't control the clear cutting that's been happening up on the hillside, and that opens up, it takes away the tree roots that are absorbing the runoff, and you open up more, you know, hardscape where where the water's coming down. And it's the entire hillside. So after this last storm, like a week and a half ago, it was on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
I went down to the public works building, the sewer building, water treatment plant, and
Wastewater.
and Trudy came in and showed me on the computer just how much water, you know, I&I that has come into our system within a period of like 10, 20 minutes. We got 500,000 gallons that came into our system.
It just comes down on
And it's
the
the whole hillside that gets inundated. So any of these issues, like where you're at, just gets compounded. So, but the other thing that's part of this, that I think the first remedy is we have to fix the cemetery, for sure, because there's historic walls, it is a cemetery, obviously causes you problems.
No, it doesn't cause me problems, it's on the city property.
Right,
But it's gonna cause problems.
all of that water comes down the hillside, and I followed that path on that last storm. I got out and I walked in the middle of the storm and I watched where all of that water goes to. It all funnels right now on the upper side of Highway 37. And between Anthem and Highway 97, there were 3 or 4 culverts. I think they're 36-inch culverts that go under that the state owns, and all of them are plugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cement divider in one of them
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
It stops some of the water from flowing too
So-
fast.
Part of solving this stuff is that we have to figure out where that water's gonna go, and I think we may have to ring the bell of the state. I don't know why MDOT didn't fix those culverts when they redid the road, but they should have, and they didn't. So we actually have, you know, we can fix the problem on the upper side of the hill, but that's only going to exacerbate the problem above Highway 37.
And up there's a wall up there, in old WPCA days, they built that wall up there. So that water hits that wall, comes all the way down to the gas plant. I still think that you should be able to go after the DNR for some of this, because they should have did an environmental impact up there. That shouldn't be the city's responsibility. That was caused by them.
Yeah. Well,
I think if there's plugged culverts, though, I think the city could take care of those, to open those up to start with.
The ones on Highway 37.
Yeah.
But if there's any up there,
Any up there.
it looked like I know the culvert on the other side of Alaska, that one was flowing real good.
Oh, yeah,
You
that was
know,
coming through. And right now, you know, when we moved there 20 years ago, that ditch was maybe 2 feet deep. Right now, there's sections that are 8 and 9 feet deep.
yeah.
I talked to Sam, I talked to Ms. Augustine, Tom, and Mitch.
Mhm.
They've got a plan, what to do there, for $30,000. And I want to step off the chair and approve that to start.
That's gonna take care of some of that up there, but it still goes down. Then you go, like the last rainstorm, it was coming across the parking lot at Delta Dental.
Well, again, that's just a start, right? And we
Yeah.
talked about across Summit Street, and that he doesn't know what to do there yet, so just start with that top part by your property, and we'll go from there then, okay?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
But thank you.
I'd start by the gas plant, if that culvert's so close, it plugs up and all the water runs down that way, it comes down instead of going across.
Well, they're supposed to put a pond up there or something.
A runoff pond?
Collection pond.
Electric pond up there, and that'll stop the power of the water running down.
Yeah, and it might give it a chance to soak into the ground instead of coming down the hill.
Let's go back to that original $30,000, we'll start with that. And give
Is that what their plan is, to kind of build a pond? too, or what?
But, see, the problem is, we got the estimate today, but none of us have had a chance to review it to see what the actual plan is.
Well,
And this is just me, I can't support something if I'm not looking at the bid and the plan that's gonna describe it.
I'm still gonna
I
keep my
think the
motion.
first
to
step
get it
though is
done.
what Anton said, just remove those culverts and maybe that'll alleviate part of the problem.
That might be part of the bid, I don't know, I haven't seen it.
I mean, our guys could do that, it's easy to dig out a culvert, you know?
The mayor has stepped out the chair to make a motion, and I'm not hearing a definite second to the motion, and if we don't, the motion will have to fail. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Well, second for discussion, but I think we have to see what the heck they're doing with that. Right, you know?
This is, I would like to see the bid. I would like to have a tour of what they're gonna do. I think this is one of those ones, in a rare case where I think all of us that wanna go up there for a walking tour of like what this project is gonna do. I wanna spend the money the right way the first time. I don't want us to be here 4 years from now and say this didn't work, and we're gonna fix it again at now a higher price.
Councilor Skrillex has had a good discussion on this. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Motion fails 4-1.
I'd like to make a motion to instruct
Yeah.
Public Works
The chair is back to the mayor.
organize a walking tour for the council along with the bid to review this process.
Would that include more than 3 council members?
We would have, yes, and we would have to post that as a special meeting.
The mayor has a chair.
Can we get that bid by next meeting?
I have it on my desk if you want to see it now.
Well, could we see it now? Maybe we don't have to have it.
It has to be part of the public record.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll second your motion.
Moved by Councilor Skrillex, supported by Councilor Potashnik to have a special meeting at the cemetery site of the ditch and act on a bid of some kind at that time. Is that what your motion is?
Yeah, to have a walking tour and be able to
You
review
said
it.
it's a meeting.
Yeah, especially,
Yeah.
so we can all be there if we want.
Yep.
If we want. You know.
We don't all have to be there.
No, I don't
Yeah.
have to, but if you want, go ahead. Yeah.
And you can make a motion on a bid. Maybe the person with the bid wants to change his bid based on what you want, the council wants to do.
Might be.
When do you want this
So
special
the
meeting?
bid is actually no good.
Got to be posted for 3 days, on
If you
Friday.
if you don't agree what what he intends to do in the bid, and you want to change the bid, then you need a new bid.
Right, but we're just going to see what he's describing with the bid, and if it looks okay, then we may approve it.
If I post a special meeting tomorrow, can we have it on Friday? Is
Yes,
that
I don't know,
okay?
Friday,
We're tied up all day. Can we do Monday?
Monday.
Monday, that's why we're,
Yeah.
What time?
I can make my time available anytime on Monday.
I guess it's,
I
I
can
thought
do
the
it
bid
4
should be
p.m.
there too, to tell us what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
Instead of after
we'll
four?
have to contact them.
Can we do it at 4?
After 4. I get off at 4.
So 4:30?
Let me get 4:30. May
It's
4th, 4:30. Does that work for most of you?
What's that
Yeah.
date?
May 4th?
May 4th, okay.
That's in the motion to have a special meeting away from the council chambers. That means anybody in the whole town of Gilbert can be with us. And
Can you bring the bid too?
I will have it for you.
Okay, perfect. Yep, so we can see what they're writing and what we're looking
I can
And
send it to you.
certainly, you're invited.
at. Yeah,
That's right next door.
Yeah.
yep,
I can
Close
email
commute.
Brian if you want.
perfect,
You
yeah.
should get a hold of Thomas too.
two ways to do that.
Yeah.
Want him there too.
I'm sorry, Bob?
Tom,
Yep, I will.
and then
Or somebody from his.
contact him or some representative.
Yep, I have it in my notes.
Yeah, and we're not gonna drag our feet. We wanna get this done, so.
We could have a tour and come back here and settle the business.
Whatever, you
And not
just
have-
tell me what you want me to
Have
do.
the
and
boat out there on the lawn out there. I've never seen that happen before.
I mean, I think,
We can recess up there and come back here and finish it.
Yeah.
as long as we put that in the notice, that it'll be starting with a walking tour and then a meeting.
The finish, the continuation of the meeting here.
We need the special meeting for the walking tour, so that allows all of us to be there.
Yeah,
And then we can recess the meeting and come down here and finish the
and
business.
then vote on it.
Okay?
So,
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll be up there.
Thank you.
All right, check register. 4/20/26, 4.
210, sorry. Typo.
What's that?
It should be the 21st.
210?
Yeah, it should be the 21st. That's
Oh,
what the check register says.
4/20 and 4/21, yeah.
Yeah.
On page 1, you have an activity code of 100, what's that for?
Where are you asking me?
That's my
Big
note.
one, BP builders.
Activity codes are used to track expenses for certain types of activities. And this allows us to run a report that says what was the money received and the money spent out of an activity code.
But it's not coded like, is it coded like that? It's not coded like that now.
It is. I just wanted to, it doesn't show up on this report, so I wanted to make sure that it was done. That's what the question is.
Just 100, right? Activity code just 100.
No, it still has the other activity code. This is an extra activity code, so we can just run.
There's a
report on
difference
certain
between the
projects.
GL code and an activity code. The GL code is there. An activity code is a new thing that we put in. It's like for grant accounting. Instead of having grant accounting, which is way more complicated, this allows me to see what expenses we put in against a certain project or whatever.
So, let me clarify what I think I understand, is the sole purpose of the activity code is, and this is for the community center project, right? Is so that we can have accurate tracking. We know that that's a special project. We can see the money going in and coming out.
Yeah.
So we can see at the end of the day,
Activity 100 is community center project.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of activity codes that we're building every week just to be able to keep track of those things. Be a little more thorough.
I get it.
On page 2, you've got an additional invoice and product to come.
We took a donation from the fire department for $11,600 for the rib kits. I asked Anthony about this and he said that they were billing under 2 invoices, so I wanted to make note that this $7,551 is only part of the $11,600 that we received in donation.
So another invoice. will-
So there will be another invoice to come to make up the difference to 11,600.
Did you ever get a sheet for the repairs and maintenance from the mechanic? Keeping track of the vehicle expenses? You were working on that?
Yeah, we
We
have
have
all the sheets, we just haven't put them into a thing.
We don't.
All the time.
We don't put them in the packet. I mean,
We have them all together.
we're keeping track of them. He gives us the information, we put it into the
It's just not in a separate spreadsheet like you're saying. He gives us one sheet for everything he does. So I have a nice stack of sheets. There's no time for me to put them into a spreadsheet. This
Does
is
he have his
why-
time, does he have his time on there too?
We just talked
We
about
just
that at the
talked
last
about
meeting,
that.
so he has started doing that.
But you don't have time to put them there for us at a meeting?
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
have time to input them in a spreadsheet. You can come sit with us anytime. We are short-staffed. I don't know what more to tell you.
These are one of the,
Same
these are
thing
some,
every meeting.
these are some of the things that we'd like to have a summer help us with.
That's what I say, maybe we should close that up till 1 o'clock.
I
You guys have
personally
more
don't
time to
think folks would do
concentrate on
that.
your work.
That would just give us more work to have to catch up on, in my
How do
opinion.
you figure? It's the
Because
work that
you're
you
telling
have
us
to
we
do.
have to stop answering the phone and do those things, well, now we have to catch up on that. Not every phone call is a 2-second phone call. Sometimes I'm on the phone for 20, 30 minutes because I'm trying to help somebody plan their funeral. I mean, every
Just
call is
trying to help out.
No, I
that's all.
get it.
No, we
I get it.
understand that, but
I
I
get
think,
it. But I feel like we've tried different things already, and we just need someone that can do some of those easier, basic things while we're doing everything that's pressing.
Mayor, council, just give them to us, we'll take care of it. We'll get them at least caught up for now, until we get things caught up,
Okay.
we'll just deal with it, so.
Thank you.
Because Lynn has a spreadsheet for it already.
Yeah, we.
Right.
yes, and we've been working with Michelle, she has some for the PD, so it's, we're familiar.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Okay, thanks, Kyle.
On page 4, you got to think about another code for Don's pay. Is there something wrong with the code now?
No, but we put a lot of stuff in professional services, a lot of stuff, and I'm feeling like, do we really, I mean, is that really the proper place to put it? It's just a question for me to go back and think about it. I don't know, professional services, sure, that's exactly what it is, but could we put it in a more, less obscure place?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if it brings clarity to the process, I think that is, looking at what professional services and how we use it, generally it is a contractor, it's a 1099 service, right?
Right,
And we use that in a lot of different ways in the city. I think probably, we could probably identify 2 or 3 things in there that make up 80 to 85% of the money that's in there.
right.
I think that just helps us better isolate that. I would be in favor of it. Anything that helps us to clarify that
Right.
could be better.
Right, but we can actually make up we can write any code, name it, whatever we want. The problem that we're coming across is that for the past practices for however many years is so much stuff was thrown under that a lot of it didn't make sense
Didn't
to
make
go
sense,
there.
right.
And I especially, because when it comes to, at some point, I hope, in my tenure on the council, I will actually see a P&L
Yes,
for the campground enterprise
Right.
service.
that'd be my goal as well. Here's one of the things that under professional services happens, toilet rental, porta potties,
Yes.
under there. Okay, that's, I mean, professional services, great, yes, they come, they put them in, they take them off, but does that,
Right, this is an annual charge, this is what we talked about. If this is something that we see consistently, we should just have its own category, because
Right.
with budget time, everything, it makes more sense then.
Right.
we're just trying to clarify some of these things, and sometimes it's a note just to say, okay, think about this, does this make sense? It's where it's gone all the time, and I could just keep doing it, but that's not what
Well,
my objective is.
I don't think it started out, our budgeting in this city has started out in a certain place 15 years ago. And it has gotten far off track.
Yes.
And that's not anybody's fault, that's everybody's fault.
Right.
So you're trying to correct these things for us and give us the numbers that we want. So I would,
Thank you. I like to put my notes on there and leave them there so you can see what it is that my thought process is or what.
We double verified this. I will go back through it again and look at her notes too.
I'll step out the chair and approve check register 4/20/26 and 4/20/21/26.
I'll support.
Mayor stepped off the chair to approve the check register, and seconded by Council Skrubic. Further discussion. I know we had a bill for the transformer on that property down there that we questioned. and I don't see it. Did we pay that bill yet?
No, we did not. We will.
I know it's for 5,000 more than we actually approved.
Oh. It's 5,000 more than we're asked the homeowner to pay for.
Are
We
we asking-
approved the bill for $26,000,
We,
and then some of us counselors suggested that we charge the homeowners for it, so we did, and see who would pay for it. But I don't think we approved 31,009 for that.
here's what I know. We have a promissory note from the homeowner for $26,000.
Correct.
Right. It is, we need to get an easement from the homeowner. Here is the other thing that we talked about, is that if we charge the homeowner all of the money to put that transformer in, does that seem fair that if we're gonna take power off of it?
Well, it wasn't a matter of that, we had a bid from the company that's putting it in for $26,000. They left a hole by the pole, they left some lag screws out there, left a pile of dirt, they left wire out there. I'm not gonna pay that bill until they come and clean up their mess. I mean, they can't just dig a hole, leave lag screws, bolts, wires sitting around out there and walk away.
Okay, I don't know, this is the first I've heard that that they left a bunch of stuff out there. I did not know that, but I have not paid that bill.
Probably didn't surface until the snow melted, right?
Well, the question is, the bill was for $26,000, they came in the winter. And as the mayor knows, because of the bill pushing it up here,
Yep.
we don't do this power pole up here because it costs $1,000 more in the winter to do.
Yep.
But they went down there and they charged $5,000 more, and they put up the bid for $26,000.
I don't know, I don't have a copy of the bid, I have a copy of the invoice, so I will ask Sam for that bid, because I did not see it in David Gavin's file. So I will look for that,
The
and
question,
ask why.
one of the questions that I have, and I wish our attorney was here, because I think we might get 5 different opinions up here. The homeowner paid for the transformer, but who owns the transformer?
Utility company?
So if it needs to be replaced, then it's the responsibility of the utility company to make
Yes.
that replacement.
A homeowner cannot have responsibility for maintaining or owning utility, is my understanding.
City owns the transformers, all in the town.
Okay. So, then if we're getting power off of it, that kind of negates
Charging
your
you.
question. It still leaves in question that extra $5,000, because if we made the decision to put that in the wintertime and that cost us more money, that sounds like that's a city-driven expense that maybe the homeowner, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but maybe the property owner would not have chosen to do.
Right.
So I think there's a big question as to who is responsible for that, because
Well,
whoever made the direction to do that,
It could have been mine. Because he's the one that decided where it was gonna be placed as well. Which is not where Sam.
so that
suggested.
may be a question for Brian. I don't know if the city was responsible for determining the timing of putting it in and that caused an extra bill. Legally, can we charge that to the homeowner? I don't know.
Supposedly we weren't gonna charge that extra $5,000, we were gonna eat that bill.
And I don't know that either, because I don't
I
know if we have any documentation.
The conversation that I had with Sam is that if we're gonna take power off of there for the lift station or whatever else we're doing, how do we compensate the homeowner who has the property? If he pays for the whole thing, what right do we have to take power off of it if he's paid for the whole thing?
And we take ownership after it's done, because we own the transformer.
Yeah.
But then why are we paying for
The
him to do it?
the second transformer, we buy, not him. We do.
But we're not gonna put another transformer in, we're gonna just pull off of that one.
There could be in the future, I'm talking.
Yeah.
No,
But he paid for the wire code on it too. If you,
Was that?
I
he paid
didn't,
for the wire.
We-
Obviously, he paid for
What he,
the wire, the digging, he paid for everything.
well,
But they did it, I know the bid came out well into the summer.
we paid that $5,000, so.
did he do it according to their schedule, or did we tell them to do it in the winter?
We don't know.
That's the question.
I have it on my list to ask.
Again, record keeping is not our forte.
It hasn't been, no.
It's been moved and seconded to pay for that. Any more discussion?
We,
Did we?
I don't have
Made
a
a motion for the,
The mayor made the motion and Council Skrillex seconded the motion.
That
To
was-
pay for the register.
that was the check
To
register.
pay for the check register.
everything
To approve the check
approved on the
register.
check register.
Yeah.
Right, I thought he was saying,
Yeah.
pay that.
And
I
that,
have
and
Gilbert
that was
Toshnik as seconding the
That was
check
okay.
register.
I didn't second it.
You didn't? Okay.
No,
I'll
Paul
second.
did.
Thank you.
What's that now?
Oh,
just for the check.
The check register.
that was a
I
charge.
did
We
the
didn't
check
see that.
register.
That's.
And I don't see the charge on here.
Yeah, that's.
No, that's because we have not paid it.
I made the motion,
I got it.
Paul
Seconded.
seconded,
Yep,
and he's calling, for the whole check register.
Right,
yeah.
Not
I got you.
cutting it all up, the whole thing.
He just mentioned the motion in the middle of the transformer. We all got thrown for a loop.
Is there any more discussion on the approval of the check register, except you think we can get this before the meetings from now on?
I sent it to you in an email. Do you want it in another way?
This came in the email?
I didn't see it, Brian.
Did you get it in your email? You didn't?
Yeah, it was in the,
I
don't
sent
think
the
they came-
whole packet.
yeah, it was in the meeting packet.
I sent the whole packet in an email. I thought that's how you asked me to send it to you.
I got page 1 and 2 of the working session, that's all I got. I never got anything else.
There were two separate emails.
Correct, one was for the working session, one was for the regular one. The working session all came through, but the regular council meeting, I didn't get any timesheets, I didn't get any agendas, I didn't get any housing and redevelopment authority. I did not get anything else except the first 2 pages.
All right, I will check on that. But, you should have, it should have been in there, so I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could get mine on Fridays, because,
You can,
I
it's
don't know if you can
printed.
deliver, can you deliver it to my house like you used to? Because this is getting, I
We'll
don't.
go through this motion, then we'll make another motion for getting these packets delivered,
Yeah.
because everybody lives in Gilbert.
Yeah, let's make a motion that
Then we
we
have
can
it.
deliver to wherever I want it delivered, I guess.
Do you still want it in your email, Bob?
Yes, email plus in my mailbox.
It's been moved and seconded, is any more discussion on approving the check register?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Chair goes back to the mayor, who's going to request delivering the packets.
All right, I'll approve that motion on the floor. Go ahead, somebody.
I'll make a motion that we have the packets for the council meetings delivered to the house on Friday.
Yeah.
That's when they do it. That's okay with the chief?
Moved by Councilor Toshnik, supported by
I'll second that.
Councilor Skrillex, to approve the delivery of the agenda packets on the Friday before the council meeting by the police department to their homes and email as well. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, because I know these packets get really thick, would it be easier or more difficult for you to, because I think the check registers and the time cards are pretty bulky in these packets. Would we be able to separate those up and scan them separately and send those as separate attachments along with the rest of the meeting packet? Just separate them out a little bit? Because I know sometimes when you send either the meeting packet or the working session, I've had problems in the past, which I brought to your attention, where the full document hasn't come across. I think
Right.
just the sheer size, I think that could reduce
Sure.
the size of the file.
I scanned the timesheets to Tara, so I already have them in a separate document already.
Sometimes she's come like this, sometimes she's come like that, sometimes she's come like this.
Yeah, I can.
It's the scanning.
I'm fine with that, but would others be opposed to getting the time cards and the check registers as separate files.
I did send them separately this time because last time I tried sending them as one thing, Bob wasn't getting them.
Yeah. I
Jordan
think
called me
that,
twice.
can we try that to see if that solves
Yeah,
some of these
okay.
issues? Okay.
Mhm.
All right,
Can I just say something, because I used to insure a lot of cities? You're gonna have to check a little bit on the confidentiality issue. There's certain things that, there are parts of the timesheets that can be shared, but I'm pretty sure there's some things that have to be redacted, especially because they're getting hand-delivered to a home, and there's confidentiality issues there. I'm just stating, because I do know that's an issue.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because we bring all this stuff home anyway. After the meeting.
Right,
what's
well,
the
I'm
difference
just
if you
throwing it
did
out there.
Before or after?
I think the way that you used to do it, Ty, was everything you delivered was in a sealed envelope.
Yes.
That would be great to get a envelope. I don't have to buy my own anymore. Like
What
I
we
did.
do on our side with our own families, that's up to us. Like, I would hope we would keep these things confidential.
well, when we do applicants for jobs, the clerk really knows up all those applicants, the applications, rounds them up and discards them. We don't keep them. None of us keep them. We look at it,
Right.
when the process is done, do
They
people
get
back?
shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We
that's,
keep a copy in the
right,
workshop.
that's my point. I mean, we shred on this end, but.
But then after that, we have to hand them in and they shred them.
Just speaking for myself, I have a very aggressive shredding policy at my home, so.
All right, time sheets for employees, we're gonna okay that?
Well, I have something to say about that. Like, I don't know quite why Marion has to stay here for this 4-hour
You
meeting.
can't talk about somebody in your meeting.
I-
Well,
I can
what's the
answer
difference?
that for you.
I'm just,
It is,
okay, the
it is so much
administrative
quicker.
assistant then.
It is so much quicker for me to sit here and write it out down as we go than it is to sit, and it will take over a day for me to write these because I'm constantly interrupted and I can't hear the tapes. And you
You
want
can't hear
things
anything
recorded,
on
I
this
don't know what
one.
to tell you. This is the best way.
Well, it's just causing overtime, and you know, we gotta watch this overtime. We're representing the people, the
I
taxpayers.
understand that, but I also want to point out that we have documented, just like not even 2 months ago, where you guys had said, do what you guys need to do to get your work done. And if it meant overtime, get overtime. And I'm telling you, this is easier so I can work on that stuff.
I don't recall saying that.
Well, we have it in the minutes. You can watch
I just
it.
gave you a suggestion to close it
I
down till
understand.
afternoon, so we don't have overtime anymore, especially public works.
It's not going to
Especially
change the
public
amount of
works.
work we have to
Unless
do.
there's an emergency for public works, there's no need for overtime.
I really encourage you to come sit in the office and spend a day and watch
I've
what
been
happens.
doing this for 12 years.
I
I
have
know
yet to
what's
see you
involved
come
in
sit
this.
with me, Bob.
I've sat with
Okay,
others
okay,
before
hold
you.
on. Just for simplicity here and to move this meeting along, I'm okay with you being here, doing the job that you're doing versus taking another time over there, either here or there, and plus other stuff you gotta do. I'm okay with that. So I don't know about anybody else, I'm okay with that. That's the end of that. What else? Gonna do this employee thing? So,
Can I ask a question on the timesheet? I noticed that everybody fills in their vacation, sick time, comp time, but some of these, they're not filled in. We have to claim sick pay, and I don't know how much sick pay they have left.
I can vouch for mine. Mine has been off since everybody else's has been off, and I had asked Mike a million times over, and maybe you know the history between Mike and I, and if not, I can enlighten you after the meeting. Lynn has been working on it. She has all the time sheets, and she has not only been working on mine, she's working on everybody's to make sure they're up to par. Last year, every time I took time off, I made sure I made it up because I had no idea where my time off was. So hopefully soon she'll have my numbers too. She's working on it with everything else every week. She's got somebody else's done.
I have to do the accruals for the audit. So I have through 23's done, 24's is in the spreadsheet and done. 25 I'm working on. I have to look at every timesheet for every payroll for the entire year to make notes as to say how many hours were taken or how many weren't, and comp time, earned and taken. It's a very, very long, tedious process, and I am trying very hard to get it up to date, but I cannot tell you how much anybody has based on the fact that there was no record keeping for it previously.
When Mike switched the companies over, our payroll companies, everything did not get moved. And when everyone brought it to him, he did
There was no
not-
audit of the move over either.
But most of the people here have kept their timesheets. Also, he did thankfully keep all the timesheets when he submitted them to Abdo. So she's actually going through every single timesheet that was submitted through Abdo. She just finished 2023.
Okay.
So I have a question on this, and I know you're not gonna have the answer, because we've talked about the transition to a self-serve payroll system. And I understand full well that this is a big kind of pain point for staff. It's a pain point for all of us.
Right.
Can we get a very high-level timeline from Abdo as to what we can expect for that project to move forward? Given the fact that we have the audits that are prioritized, and like, can we get them to say?
I don't know that Abdo can tell us. I think it's on us to decide what that is. We can tell them when we're going to switch over, but there's testing to do. I have to get all the data
I
correct.
understand that. I would just like, for this body to have some clarity as to what we can help push towards, if we need to bring resources to it. If that means that we have to spend money on an outside consultant, I'm not saying we're gonna, but if that becomes apparent that we have to do that, it's more helpful for us to try and be as proactive in the project planning process as we can. Because this is one of those fundamental core issues that we're spending a lot of time on right now, and we need to just not be spending a lot of time on this.
Right, and in that case, I mean, there's really no other choice, because in order to move forward with ADP in the correct way, she has to go back and
I have to
calculate
figure
all those
And I
things.
understand, and I respect that. I know that's a lot of work. I
It
don't
took me a day and a half just to get through 2023.
Yeah. So it would be helpful, I think, for all of us to start having some targets to hit.
Right.
Because I think that will give all of us clarity. It will certainly help us when we have questions up here as to know that, okay, this is in the plan, it's gonna be done in October, November, December, whatever.
Right.
Right, and because I hear Councilor Bertocci bring it up all the time, and I think that's, if we have something to work towards,
Sure.
that will be helpful.
Right. Can I give you at the end of May, at the May meeting, at the end, the second meeting of May, give you a more definite timeline? Because then I will have some more information as far as the accruals and getting that all set up. And then by that time, I should be able to get some training or understand what that process is in the changeover.
Yeah, I just want us to get into the habit of, if we don't measure it, if we can't track it, we can't perform or hit our targets. Being planful helps us to move forward in a direction,
And
and
just so
we
you
just
know,
need to get
all
on
the
that.
staff is, I mean, they feel your frustration as well. I mean,
I do.
right?
Part of, and I'm not complaining, I'm not saying it's bad, but part of preparing for this meeting takes at least 3 days. 3 full days,
Yeah, I understand.
which means that I don't do other stuff those 3 days. So that's kind of the
Yep.
trade-off and why I'm asking to have somebody come and help, because that would really make a big difference. And, I mean, you've all been in my office, you can see all the stuff that's still there from when Mike was there. I can't get rid of it, I can't do anything with it, I can't box it up, I don't have time for that. I don't know that any of it is super sensitive information, because some of it's from 2012, 2013. But something has to be done, we have to decide about it.
As long as we can agree that we're gonna try and put a plan on this issue, because it's a recurring issue. It's the reason why we put the time cards on the agenda as a standing item to begin with.
Okay, got a motion to approve the time sheets? I think that's why it's on the.
I'll move to approve the timesheets.
That's why it's- Motion by Councilor Skirvik, do I hear support? Support? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Nay.
No.
Roll call vote. Mayor Overstar, aye. Councilor Skirvik. Aye. Councilor Ponton.
No.
Councilor Vrtajnik. No. Councilor Redfinning.
No.
We're not approving motion to approve, what the heck, I'm not supposed to take that. I made a motion to, for the time sheets.
I make a motion to accept.
Paul made the motion,
But
Overstar
it's
seconded.
supposed to-
You can second.
Okay, I'll second it. You make a motion and second it, and then it failed. 3-2. Councilor Skirvik, Mayor Overstar voting yes. Councilor Vrtajnik, Councilor Ponton, Councilor Redfinning voting no. Now where do we go? So it's voted no,
Now
we're
what?
moving on. We're moving on. I don't know what you want to
What
do.
does that mean?
Yeah.
All right, what does that mean?
And
What do
we're
we do?
moving
How
on.
does that work with pay goes?
They're
We're
already,
not getting paid, that's what it means.
They've already been
they've
paid.
already been paid.
No.
Okay, how can they be paid when we haven't approved it?
I don't, this is how the
This
process
is,
was.
this is how, this is, I don't understand.
We can't give you timesheets of people that haven't worked yet, and our payroll already just happened last week, or 2 weeks ago.
I submitted it yesterday for this past 2 weeks. I can't,
We can't
the
give you
timing
timesheets
isn't
ahead of
such
time.
that I can have you approve it ahead of time and then turn it in.
We can have another vote here and approve it now, because it's approved this.
Yeah, we never had these issues with other people.
You've never had these timesheets before either.
With other, oh yeah, we have.
When? They weren't in the packets previously.
Not in the packets, but I was always had access to.
I don't believe that that's true.
Oh, come on. You're calling me a liar?
She's not calling you a
I'm not
liar.
saying you're a liar.
Not true, just says it's not true what I just said.
Okay.
Well, you're,
Jeez.
I'm gonna make a motion again, I'll make a motion, we gotta move this, no.
What happens if they're not approved? What do we do then?
Why we are
Take the money back from people? Micromanage.
microscoping everything.
Micromanaging.
I'm really, I'm up to deal with this stuff, this micromanaging.
Well, if we didn't have overtime, if we could.
Can I take back my vote? Like, this is confusing as all hell.
right.
I don't know what is going on.
I'm not for overtime, that's what I.
No, but we need
Would not
to
happen either.
approve these time cards, right?
Yeah, right.
As far as my understanding with the timesheets, it was so that you could see what our time spent was.
Not, I don't,
And how
If
much
you're
time
against-
you're
if you're
putting in.
against what they're doing, that's something
Right.
different, but the pay is something different, okay?
wait, can I just speak real
Counselor,
quick?
Counselor Redfern is rescinding his motion into a yes vote.
Into a yes vote.
And
Yes.
so the motion carries, okay?
I think, from a parliamentary standpoint, I think we do need to take a new vote. I don't think that an individual can take, once a vote has been cast. it
Well,
can't be
I haven't
taken
moved
back.
on to nothing else.
Let's take
If
a
I
new vote.
would've, if I would've do 2 more things ahead,
Then you
after
can go
this,
back.
Okay.
then I can't go back.
Okay,
Just do it, just do
another, just,
We're still
Yeah,
on the
let's-
same thing.
Just for clarity, let's just do another vote. I'll make a motion to approve the time cards again.
I will second.
Motion by Councilor Skirvik, supported by Councilor Redfern to approve the time cards. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Discussion.
Discussion.
In the contract, how many hours of comp time are approved? I mean, how many hours do they get on comp time?
would,
Total hours, do they get 10 hours total comp time? Because there is vacation time, there's sick time, there's comp time, there's personal holidays. Personal holidays are 16. When they accumulate comp time, how many hours are they allowed to approve?
I think it's 85.
but I'm not positive.
So,
I'm not positive.
so if I just interject, and I guess we have a process, the council vote passed the check registers, so you voted to pay us, but you didn't vote.
Check register, that wasn't on the check register, your pay isn't on the check register.
He's not on the check register.
Yeah, and it should be, it should be on the check register. Because
Okay.
we don't know what
You're
we're
trying to
paying
get
out
it.
for.
Well, I think we need to have a process for, I don't know, if two councils come and review payroll on Mondays. You know, I don't know how,
Well,
it's
it was
very
the
confusing.
process.
It's very confusing for me as a supervisor on how to move forward. I've never heard of this, I'll call other agencies and see, but I've never heard of this before. So I just need some guidance so that we can do this properly, because I've never heard of this before.
I'm protesting approving this because I don't believe in the overtime that we're getting should be approved.
Okay, is
That's
it,
where I'm at.
okay, for each employee or certain employees?
Well, for every employee now, yes.
We're short.
You guys are separate. I don't know what you do with your overtime. I'm just talking public works and in the office.
Every single one of
And
our
in the office,
departments
only
is
those
short-staffed.
two divisions.
We're all
Every
short-staffed.
single one of our departments is short-staffed. Every meeting, I feel like there's a few of you that want to target our employees. Everyone is working their butt off. We are short-staffed.
All right, discussion is all closed. Closing discussion, voting, all in favor say aye. Aye.
I guess.
Opposed say nay.
Nay.
I hear 4-1, Councilor Vrtajnik voting no, Councilor Putnam, you were a yea, yes?
I was a yes, but under protest of the overtime, and I'll keep saying it every 2 weeks.
Motion carries 4-1, and the other motion stands as a failed.
Yes, we do about that.
All right?
I was looking for a process. We
Okay.
don't have a process.
Then we should bring that up as a motion that we want to
You know,
process and
Bob
then
used to
research
come
it.
in, Bob used to come in and look at those, and then Mike put a kibosh to that. And
Exactly right.
Yeah,
But I'm saying they weren't in the packet.
right, they weren't in the
I
packet.
didn't
to
say
get
they
them
were in
to
the
them.
packet. I said I had access to them.
I will agree, Bob, that there should be some oversight. I think that is something that we as a body need to work towards. Unfortunately, that is one of those things that was deteriorated or taken away from us with the last person that was our clerk. And so,
I'm gonna ask this council if they can come in and take care of the check registers like councils previously used to do that prior to a council meeting. So if there was had objection, they had that ready to go at the council meeting.
Can I
It's
just
a little
add
extra
this?
more time,
Yes.
but, so we don't take this time up, so everybody, you know, all St. Louis County can watch us go through all this stuff.
Right, can I just add something to that, and not that you have to do it, but what I've noticed too is lately, I cannot understand, I mean, our meetings are going so long because all these extra concerns about things that, like, the hole or the door that was unlocked last week at the campground, like, if our council members are finding these issues or have any staffing issues, they should be brought to the clerk. At some point, where's your due diligence that you're waiting for a council meeting to throw it in when it's not on the agenda? Things are supposed to go through the clerk on purpose, so they
some
can
of
be
these things are
rectified.
under the same business as we're,
I
as a
agree.
line item, but
I
yeah,
agree.
we should, I don't know why we take it up at a
Right.
council meeting. The council meetings are
Right.
sacred, important meetings for important stuff, not just every little thing that can be done.
Right, but they should still be made aware.
I know,
Right.
if it's a big deal for you, yeah, get
Right.
it done and ask about it, but you can do it prior to this coming to here. We got big things to finalize here, like motions, not to go and blah, 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 blah. That can be done, yes, if you need to, really have to, go see the clerk, or go see the supervisor, Ty, or whoever, on another time, not this time. That's
Well,
all
then
I'm
it also
asking.
gives our departments chance to do a little more research instead of everyone
I'm
coming
not
in
saying
without
not
info.
to,
Right,
but if you really want, if that's a big thing for you, do it.
right.
But please, don't bring it up here. I mean, yeah. This is why Brian's not here, I'm gonna tell you that right now, okay? Because we have to be better off here, okay? Let's go.
Let me just say one thing. So in order for us to give any directive, we have to do it in a motion form. And we had to give a directive to put a safety lock on that so some kid wouldn't fall in that hole. So that's why we do these. It might be minor to you, but if
But
somebody
I'm
fell in
saying
that
it's
hole,
your
it
due
wouldn't be
diligence. If
minor.
you found that hole a week ago and you were worried about someone falling down it, why didn't you quick contact Lynn so she can get Public Works on it right away so someone doesn't
No,
get
I believe
hurt?
we did
It was
say
not. It
last
was
meeting.
brought up at the meeting.
Yeah, the last meeting.
My
yeah.
point is that when there's safety concerns or staff concerns, and you can look this up, you can look it up on the league, it's common practice that you give it to the clerk first before it ever comes to the council meeting, especially if it's an issue like that.
So
Because,
individually, now we can start telling the clerk what.
well, why would that have changed any other time? You guys used to do it all the
Another
time
When
until Mike
is
came.
another time?
You guys always did it until Mike came, things changed. I'm telling you, I've been to many council meetings, this is the only place I've seen that we start throwing in random things lately in between the agendas, and we can't get out of here.
Okay, we went through that.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, community center project update, what's the deal?
I'll have to talk loud, my battery is dead. It's moving along. The pipe that we talked about last time, that we weren't sure if we were gonna have to tear up the floor or cut the pipe. We were assured, Sam and I went and talked to the contractor that was doing it. Thank you, Ty.
Talked to the contractor and he assured us he could cut that pipe, so we did not have to cut up the floor or do anything else, so that's going along. We did have a plumbing inspection and there is one issue that they have to resolve, and I don't have a resolution not a resolution here, but information that I can give you that would tell you it's going this way or that way or what's happening. I just know that we had the plumbing inspection and they're talking to the engineer about what the steps are to remedy it. So that's what I have.
Okay. Anything else contract, we got that word on that at the last session. Parcel split for Paul Phelan, so what do we have to make a motion to agree on that? We talked about it last session. I
Yep.
think no more discussion needs to be done.
Right.
We want to approve that. There's no any contingencies or anything on that?
No, his plan is in the next year or maybe two, depending on how long this takes, to build a house on the property with a garage and then sell the property he's in.
So we're okay a garage on this piece of property?
If you're okay, I thought it was the personal.
Yeah, the parcel split that,
Parcel split of property.
yeah, there's a garage on part of the
Just wanted
property
to
already.
That way, he's legal to put this garage on it.
Well, there's already a garage, this is legal to put a house on.
And he'll have to come back to do the permit for that.
I heard too much already.
I move to approve the parcel split for Paul Thielen.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilor Vrtajnik to approve the parcel split for Paul Thielen property is supported by Councilor Pontlin. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Trees donated by the class of 1976 down at Lake Orbegon. These trees are one oak and one maple.
I talked to Sam and he has already told them that that's what they should do.
One oak and one maple.
Yep.
So, get a motion to okay that.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Skirvik, supported by
I'll second.
Councilor Reddick, to approve the trees to be planted down by Lake Orbegon by that bench. There was a picture of it last council meeting session. And there's gonna be one oak, one maple. Any more discussion?
I know that they had a problem down there with the wind coming up and the size of the tree. Because of all the wind that comes up right in that particular
You have to
spot.
stake them.
They'll have to stake them pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, I hope, well, Sam is, well, he should be supervising that project. We'll tell Sam and make sure they
I wrote a note.
supervise that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. this Vale Township sewer customer, I'm just saying, I'm in favor of that customer being part of the Gilbert, but I think there's a different process that we need to do to get it, meet with Vale and get them, not just say we're gonna take it over. I think they're okay with us taking it over, but let's get this process done in another different
What's the
manner.
right way? I already talked to him, and he said, Ryan approved it 2 times here, 2 separate meetings. I
Approved
said,
what?
go ahead. He says, go ahead, they're your customer. Go ahead, bill them.
Oh, no,
That's
I would
not a
like to
motion
have,
from the council
I'm asking that the Vale board release, they've been paying Vale for how long? Release them to Gilbert. And that's my
I
motion.
talked to Heidi about this.
And I believe part of the question is that the township of Vale has a balance due from this customer.
Yes.
And
They're approving the bill owed to Vale Township and their utility bills to be put on their city of Gilbert property taxes. And the second phase of that motion is also to meet with the Vale board, to ask them or a letter to them to release that customer to the city of Gilbert after that payment is made. After that payment is made through the property, after, not right away, no, but after that process. That's my motion.
Mayor, step up, the chair made a motion.
Fails, I don't care.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that, mostly because I want to have the discussion on this.
Made, motion has been made and seconded by Councilor Skirvin. Open for discussion.
I think the first issue with allowing Vale to put that on the property taxes as an assessment, it doesn't harm us. It allows Vale to get it off their books and to, at some point, hope to get collect it. It's probably not going to happen until that property sells or forfeits, whichever comes first. So I don't think that there's an issue of that harming the city. I don't think there's any real issue why we would do that. My part comes with, and this is where I would like to just talk through the wisdom of this. We have a township that is essentially handing us a bad consumer, a consumer with a track record of not paying their bills.
Look at his track record on the water. They're talking the sewer, look at his water record.
Right, so you're saying that they're not paying their water either.
Yeah, to us. We've always.
Why would we want to incur another consumer that is not paying their bill? I don't.
We can go after them because we can shut their water off and make sure we get the money. They can't.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That's what I was struggling with, is like dealing with somebody who's not paying their bills is tricky enough. I just want to make sure that we
He's a
have.
frequent flyer, according to Hannah.
Sure.
This is constantly, every month, they're trying to get money from him. They've shut him off several times on the water side because of how he handles his bills. So, you know, I believe it's their issue. We'll take the water side, and then we get him as a customer, and if he doesn't pay, we shut his water off. And that's how we get payment. And then we put it on his taxes, us. We don't put it on the taxes for them. We do it for our city.
I don't understand what harm there is in us putting it on their taxes.
There's no harm in them going after them in small claims court either.
It's a lot more, okay, I don't know.
That's what we used to do in Gilbert. We used to go to small claims court to try to collect. They can do the same thing.
Can I just clarify, so we said that we could shut their water off. We can't do that now?
No.
Okay, okay.
I mean, we
If they're behind
they
their
pay
bill.
water.
Well, that's what my question is. If we're doing the water and they're behind on it, we would shut them off.
Well, I would go.
And we
one
have
step.
in the past.
Okay, that's what
According
my
to
question
Hannah's, history of this guy.
Are they also our electrical customer?
No, it's like country power.
Okay, so this would be only water and sewer services that we could,
Yeah.
if there's non-payment of a bill,
Right.
we could shut off
Yep.
their water.
Right. Yeah, he's
With
been as
both
high
lines.
as $542 in errors in 228 or 26. So he's a freak, he does this continuously.
As long as we have both the carrot and the stick, I would be in favor of this. I guess so now I'm seeing both sides, I would be in favor of passing.
He's already our water customer. He's been for years. But not the sewer. And his sewer goes into our sewer.
So the discussion is that you would agree to this?
Yeah, I would agree to both of them having
Following the process of.
fail, put this on their taxes, on his taxes, and then we
And
take
then
it over
release
the
the
customer.
customer to
That's
Gilbert.
my whole motion,
Yeah.
two parts.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I would agree fully with both parts now.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Chair goes back to the mayor.
By going with us, he's saving $30 on his sewer over fail with HR.
Doesn't sound like it matters, he doesn't pay it anyway.
Well, he's getting a better deal, he'll realize that.
Okay, organizational chart for 2026, Ryan? Talk about it. I think we all agreed, I think it's okay to go, right?
Charge.
I don't have a copy, does somebody have a
Yeah, I
copy
don't know
of
what that
that?
is.
How much time?
We have two versions.
Want me to come back to this? Can we move on to other stuff and we have to come back? We can take the time?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I
I think we have two different versions. I
It's
think
not in your packet, because I didn't have it ahead of time.
we need to decide if there are any changes to one versus
I
the other.
know,
Yeah,
whatever
and-
Rudy votes for.
I've talked to Ty, I've talked to other people,
I don't have it.
this one wouldn't really work for us, for
Which is
our-
fair.
Yeah, but this one here, this can always change, right? This is,
Yeah.
there's some jobs here that, like the police lieutenant, there's no police lieutenant, right?
Sergeants too.
Oh,
There's
there's no sergeant, so if we have to make changes to this is like a fluid document, but we just need to have structure on the order of how things get done.
So my item for consideration in this, and I think it's fine. The only thing is I see the fire chief, the police chief, the first responders, those positions report directly to the council, whereas right now it says that it reports to the clerk and deputy clerk as far as administration. Those are things that I think public safety should have a direct line to the council. I think all of the other department heads should be funneled up to the administration level for the day-to-day actions. The reason why I say that is because when it comes to public safety, not saying that this is ever going to happen, but I want to plan for this, is that if there's a scenario where, you know, in the police department case, if there's a use of force issue, we have a police commission that also reports ultimately up to the council, and in the resolution of that type of situation needs to come from this body, not from the administration.
That would be a special subset, right, of what they're coming to the council for.
Well, I mean, we get our budget directly from, we should be getting our budget directly from Ty for the police budget. We should be getting our fire department budget directly from the fire department. Those functions traditionally in almost every charter city report directly to the council, unless they have a strong mayor system in which they report, all department heads would report to a mayor.
Everything is correct except the police commission and the library board don't report to the council. Except for at the end of the year at budget time, requesting
Sure.
money.
Okay, that's a fair change.
But they're not on here.
The other thing that I would say is we may potentially want to have a conversation about that grouping under city contractors. I would make the recommendation that a contractor like the campground host acts more similar to a department head than an engineer, city attorney. I guess I could make the case for IT services also having reporting to the administration. But I think engineering and city attorney, because we specifically call those out at the beginning of the year with contracts to them, I think that also falls under the jurisdiction of the council directly.
So when they have questions or things, they should come to you?
Well, no, I mean, so the city attorney works for the council.
Yeah, what
And
about
that's-
engineer?
What,
The engineer with projects and such, that's,
ultimately, the authority comes from the council because we grant their contract in January each year.
okay.
So, now they still have a very close relationship with the clerk, for sure. But I think the direct, the direct reporting relationship for those two contract situations should be to the council.
I'm missing something here. I mean, I feel like engineers and everybody that, especially on a project, they are a day-to-day basis with the clerk, so I guess I'm kind of missing.
We're not talking about each individual job or issue.
Right.
We're talking about major stuff,
Okay.
Yeah.
above and
Okay.
beyond the
Gotcha.
budget.
Okay. I don't have that, so I didn't know.
But
what it
that's
looks
something
like.
we've already agreed upon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or-
So, I mean, by charter, the city council has the authority to start and stop the contract with the city attorney, with the city engineer, once a year,
Right.
independent of any administrative role.
Okay.
We're not talking about,
No, that's why that's what I was
Assignments.
asking, is so we
Yeah.
can clarify and know we
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, in terms of project management, absolutely, they would be working directly with you, with Sam, with, whoever.
I get it now. I just, it was a
And
little.
that's how this was kind of drawn out, because most everything should go through the clerk's office, and then they deal with the upfront conversations, and then that comes to the council, and the council would put a vote to it.
yeah.
That was kind of my process with going through this.
Well, if they want to do a street, they can't just, you okay a street to do it. They-
Right.
You gonna,
Right.
go to you, then bring it all here.
Yeah, that's why I guess we were wondering why we
They
needed.
can organize it and put it on paper and present it to the council, which is what you're doing here.
Talk to you
Yeah,
first.
you guys,
and
you're the middleman.
Both
You
of you
take,
gotta
you gather that information, you put it in paper, you
Okay.
Yes.
so you have to,
I just feel like that's the agenda.
you have to see it.
I guess the other thing to think about from a personnel standpoint is to think about who is the body or the individual who would give a performance review. So the clerk would not, in any city that I can think of, give our police chief a performance review. That would be the responsibility of the city council
Yeah.
or the personnel committee,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that the intention though of your org chart?
Partially, not
No,
fully.
I'm asking Ryan what his intention was, because he's saying, this is more like process flow type.
Yeah, this is not, I mean, we don't do performance reviews now.
We're supposed to.
Right, but that is separate from this. This is just like, if you need something to be
Like she said.
brought up to the council, it needs to go through the
This is like more of a
clerks.
process
Yes.
of how it should flow.
And then like what happened with some of our conversations, those should have gone to the clerk first, so it could have been on the agenda and not talking about it openly, freely.
Well, even when it comes to process stuff though, our first responders, our public safety divisions should not have to go through the clerk.
Right, but that's why they have their department heads. That's a different scenario. That's a
So,
first responder, fire department.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I mean, we
Well,
just
that's what I
talked
was gonna
about
say.
that they have their own department heads and they would come here and have, directly report to you guys.
For monetary stuff, they should be going through the clerk, yeah.
Yeah, that's, the clerk's responsibility is to work
Take
with
care
the budget,
Take
for
care of the
sure.
money, yeah.
Yeah.
I-
There are some things where there are gonna be dotted lines, there are some things that are gonna be solid lines.
I think that you are talking about one type of an org chart and he's talking about a different type. That's what I was trying to say, is that this is more about a process, and if you want things to happen, this is how you should follow the chain of commands. Not necessarily like, oh, you report to this person.
Who makes
But
the
the
decision?
I'm sorry, I fully disagree. The chain of command should not be police chief, city clerk, in any scenario.
No, I'm not saying, that's what I'm saying. It's not, that's not what he's saying. The chain of command isn't that police chief would report to me. It's that if Ty needs something and he wants it on the agenda, he needs to come to me.
Right.
And that's the process of what this is. That's not what the org chart that you're talking about is. You're talking about an org chart where it shows the hierarchy of who reports to who.
Authority,
Right.
authority wise.
Am I,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's more correct. Like, I
okay.
didn't know this would get to this point. Like, I mean, they're valid points.
Right,
But
right,
like,
right, it was just
if,
two things
if,
coming together.
if somebody needs to buy something,
Mhm.
they just can't go and buy it. There has to be, like, it has to go to the clerks first, so that they can be like, okay, you know, is that in your budget?
Sure.
Right? Not just go and buy it, because I think that's how we're getting into this financial spin here, where
Right, but I mean, you and I both sat on the charter committee and we talked about the financial process. We allow for the department head to present their budget and have the council approve it, and then once that is approved, they are able to make the purchases up to a certain threshold. If there's
That
ever,
was because of a motion of a previous council, that can be changed.
no, that's in our charter. That financial,
What
the
did
financial
that get put in
limitations are in our
last time?
charter. Yes, that happened the last time the charter was affected. Because of that situation, was to avoid that from happening.
And then
And we
anything
do
above
have,
and
we do
beyond
have a
that.
relief valve in there that if there is an emergency purchase that needs to be made, the department head can sit down with the clerk and say, this is an emergency, we have to do this, and then bring that back to the council. So,
Just speed this up a little bit. Do we need more work on this, or can we pass it? Can we pass?
I think you can pass this one, right? All it is it's just going through the clerk to get to us. She looks at it and says, well, I guess we need to ask the council's opinion on this. That's their decision.
I'm okay with it too, because I can just see it's not,
can we take another pass at this and have a hybrid based on this conversation? I do not feel comfortable with having having the police chief, the first responders, and the fire chief
okay,
indicated in the way they are here.
Well, they do report to the council because they're asked at every council meeting if they want to make anything to do.
okay, when we just,
I want to make a motion that we pass this organizational chart,
The one that's,
this one. Because it's a hierarchy of.
that's the same one. It's the same.
yeah, not that one.
Right.
Yeah, this one, yeah.
It's a basic chart.
Right, yep.
I made a motion.
I think we're making a big HR mistake.
moved by Councilor Potocnik, do I have a second?
One second.
Second by Councilor Fondon, discussion.
I cannot stress enough how big this will be held up as an example if there are disputes from an HR perspective. I think we are making a big mistake, and I want to go out formally on record on that.
Any more discussion?
The only thing I could add too is, city has to make a decision on where we want to put the emergency management director and who you want as emergency management director. So I was appointed, supposed to be appointed yearly. I haven't been reappointed probably 12 or 13 years. So the city has to have some type of emergency management director. And I'm okay with doing it, but just make sure that we put that somewhere. It's not a huge deal, but we have to have that in there too. So
Should we put the police chief then?
Should we put that in
Under police chief?
I would just put it police chief. If you want me to do it, if you want somebody else to do it, some cities use their clerks or their administrators. Some cities use fire chiefs. It's up to the council.
Well, you've been doing it, so we could just give it back to you then, right?
If that's what you wish.
Yeah. So we'd have to add that one underneath police chief.
Wait a minute now. He's talking about two different things here, I think.
It used to be civil defense. That's
What I'm talking about, the civil defense, but
it's changed to emergency management director now, so not civil defense.
the state code is, the mayor is always head of safety and health in the town.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about, I can call you up and say, handle it. Okay? And you'll handle it.
But you're gonna get the call.
I'm gonna get the call.
Because the one issue that gets a little bit convoluted, we lost out some money when we had the floods. The FEMA stuff, we had some issues about us collecting FEMA money. So I've been going to the meetings now because it didn't happen. And it wasn't you as mayor, it was another mayor that didn't show up. So we lost some funding, so I try to jump in and deal with it. I just need some direction. Do you want me to go to the meetings? Do you want to go to the meetings?
Look, the mayor, whoever the hell is the mayor, is the emergency director. And guess what? This mayor is delegating you to do it, okay?
So then we put it underneath.
You guys, I'm delegating you, appointing you to do it, okay? You got that?
So we add this to the chart then. He's going to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring something up here. Paul, we can pass this, but then we can work to modify it. Because if we're gonna have some issues down the road, I want those to be brought up so we can talk about it. This can be modified. If at any time it's not working or there's something that we need to change. So if we pass this tonight, I'm willing to work with you if you want to go through some other changes.
Then the motion should include having, this be a fluid document, I think,
Yep.
instead of adopting it as is, just say it's a fluid.
Yep.
You can make changes.
Do we want to add Ty as the safety director then?
Emergency management director.
And it does say under Minnesota law 12.25, it requires every city and county to establish a local organization for emergency management and appoint an emergency management director.
He did appoint you.
So, yep, so we're good.
So we'll put it under his.
Generally, that's the list of things that should happen in January.
Yes.
Yeah, but when I appointed you, I appointed
Yep,
you.
that's fine, we'll take care of it. I'll do it.
Okay, any more discussion?
If we can agree to come up with a revision of this no later than 3 months from now,
Yeah, it'll take less than that.
okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Rates for garbage,
So did we change that motion? I just need the right wording for the minutes. Because we originally had Paul saying no.
we're approving this chart.
As a fluid chart.
Change it,
Yes, so,
I just want the correct wording.
yes, so
He said no under
I said
discussion.
nothing under
Right,
the discussion, so that
right.
didn't affect the motion.
They
Okay.
can bring things up and we can add or two of them or not.
Fluid chart, gotcha.
Okay, rates for the garbage, another $10 fee added on. This is just for commercial or
Yes.
everybody? Just for
For
commercial?
Just commercial.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to approve the recommendation by the Water and Light Board for an additional $10 added to each level, and go with the recommendation that easements provided.
Moved by Councilor Skirvik, with the motion to approve $10 fee at commercial rates.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Reddick. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And I have the approve, what is the bar permit for dugout?
Yeah, our discussion was that if he pays the additional $500, that we would approve that.
Downtown bar, you mean?
Yep, don't put it to
Downtown.
Said dugout.
Downtown, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the building permit or land use permit with the following conditions. One, the increase to meet the $1,000 level, which we talked about. And then the second is that they maintain the existing fence around the property so that all users of the patio need to go through the bar during bar operation hours.
Does that include staining that fencing to make it look good? You know, it's getting kind of run down. I mean, this is our main street, you know,
Can we do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that we have the,
I mean, it's kind of a blight issue.
That is a blight thing.
yeah, I think,
Well, you don't have to have it.
at some point, I agree with you, it may veer into blight. But I think this as a conditional use of the permit just says that he must continuously maintain that fence.
So it's not a
So
danger.
then we can address it.
But that's where the stain comes.
Right,
You know,
but that's when we
maintaining-
can address it potentially as blight.
Yeah, that's fine, I'm just
And
throwing
it-
that in
So
there.
it's not a danger or liability to the city,
Yep,
right?
yep,
It's a safety thing, yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
Do I hear a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Redepinning. You got the wording on that motion, everybody?
Yep.
Emphasize the fence
Yep,
to
I
be
did.
safety, no danger to anybody using a sidewalk there or
Yep.
inside.
I have it written down.
All in favor, say aye.
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 question?
I had a question.
No question.
When they come into the back, the steps that go up to the bar, do those go into the bar?
Those go into the bar.
They don't come out
They
of
are,
the back?
they are direct access to the bar.
Okay. Aye.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 4-5-0. Okay, what's the I, letter from HRA?
It's included, Leo gave me the letter, and it's again about how they aren't gonna make, they're gonna be bankrupt soon if we don't do something, and she had given me a letter, and then, she had also provided some information to Leo that I included here from the last, what was it, Leo, 3 years or 4? Of their budget. For your information.
Is something we need to do tonight?
No, but I would recommend that you look at it and then see what our options might be, because I don't know what to do if we bankrupt them, what our next option is.
Well, to be clear, the city of Gilbert will not be bankrupting. The funding
No,
mechanism
you're correct,
has been reduced.
right. That's absolutely true. My apologies.
I don't know what we can do, but I think Brian said he was gonna look into it, see what we can do, and as our HRA, but,
Yeah.
that's been up there since 19 whatever, I don't know of any council that I even have served on dealt with any of their business.
She was also gonna check with the company that we hired out of Duluth, that Jason, whatever his name is,
Oh,
Hale.
Hale.
Jason Hale, and she checked with him on fundings?
Oh, Shelley, you mean? Or me?
Yes.
No, Shelley.
I don't know. I didn't get to, she dropped off this letter and she was out the door again, so I didn't get a chance to ask her about that.
Because I think that she was here when he was discussing that with her at the podium.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah,
they
and
talked to each other.
So the thing is, I think some of those are kind of long tentpole types of, concepts of like, now that we know that there is a buyer of the school campus property and there's going to be development in there are things that we can do in the development as a funding mechanism to assist with funding this facility, but that's something that's going to be several years
Down the road.
So I don't know if that necessarily solves this issue
So you
today.
thought there was grants out there also for this?
There could be potentially, I don't know.
I don't know if she's talked to him again or if he gave him any.
What I can say is I'm not satisfied with the drop off a stack, a letter and a stack of documents for us to review.
Right.
I think that is, honestly, I think that's a little insulting to this body. When we ultimately, that is a city building at the end of the day. That is something that we legally have possession for. At some point, we need to exercise our oversight authority to make sure that this is being run properly. And if that means we need to have a change up of the Board of Commissioners out there, or if we have to have a change in management to get that done, that's something that we need to do.
I think the Board of Commissioners has to live in that property.
One.
Just one member.
One.
Yeah.
To my recollection, anytime that there has been a recommendation for somebody to serve on that board, there has not been a resume, there has not been an explanation of qualifications. It's basically been handed over to us from the director of that building to say, this is who I want, will you appoint them?
Yeah.
And that's the dog wagging the tail. or the tail wagging the dog. And I think we need to reverse that and change that, because if we're looking at a financial problem, at the end of the day, if this building ends up being vacated, that's gonna be a city problem.
I don't know if you remember when she was sitting here and I says, have you talked to Hibbing about this? Because when we started this base fees for them, I contacted Hibbing, HRA, and they says, I says, well, do you charge, base fees and everything else? And they said, you bet we do. And it calls them block charges. And I says, well, can you help her out, to see what you have to do in order to get the funding, in order to pay for your base fees down? And I believe she did, and that's why I asked her when she was sitting here, did you talk to Hibbing? Because that person that was involved with, they knew what she was talking about, and she helped her out to get the monies, to pay the 1/3, 2/3, it's the third that she's having an issue with. So that's where this came from, was, their HRA helped her get established with some funding. And I don't know if they could do that again. And I don't know if she tried, I kind of doubt it, because from what I heard her say there, I don't think she did. So, and it's her problem,
To be clear, I'm not against changing how we do the funding for our utilities. I think that should be all up for discussion, but I think the way that this is being done, by simply handing us a letter and a stack of budget sheets and expecting us to understand what the financial implications are, I think it's not respectful, and I don't think that it's going to get us to where we need to be, and I don't think it's going to get them where they need to be.
And Rudy, did you say that there was other renters up there that aren't required, they can pay whatever their charge is not a 30% of their income? So maybe they have to look more towards those type of.
At first, it was only supposed to be certain
Percentage?
Yeah, and have to be over to 55 or something like that, but I think they're all local.
And some of that may have been, some of the early, like when typically when these projects happen, there are certain governmental requirements in order to fit this model that for 10 years or 20 years you have to follow a certain formula, and then it can change afterwards.
It changed.
And I'm sure that it did.
Okay, so we're gonna do nothing with this letter?
Can we, reject this until she brings us more info, or how do we go? Because is this just gonna be on the next cycle?
Well, at least if she could tell us what she's doing to try to fix this, or,
I guess, Lynn, you've got the most accounting knowledge in the room. I don't know what the recommendations are here. If we need to form a committee, or if we need to have a deeper dive into some of this, I don't know how to even approach this.
I feel like some of it takes a little bit of research. I looked up how to help with specifically HUD housing in Minnesota that are having financial
Difficulties?
Yes, and there are things, and I don't know if they've all been explored. This is what I'm saying, I try to help too. Maybe she
helped me
needs to come
herself,
to a
I think is the
meeting.
question.
that's why it'd be good for her to come and say, what are you doing to correct this? Tell us, and maybe we can help you.
I think what she's trying to tell us is
She doesn't know.
she doesn't want that utility bill going up there.
Oh.
And then once that's gone, everything's gonna be okay.
And I don't think that's true.
But
I think we
is their
can- I think we
deficit,
can
is
eliminate
that
that
gonna
bill.
cover
We're still
their
gonna be in the
deficit?
budget.
If
Well,
we
that's
put that
what-
extra charge in there, according to her papers right now, if we did that third charge, how drastic is that gonna change her
It's like-
200,000, whatever?
It's like $33 per customer.
That's what she's trying to tell
$30
us
per customer.
and
More,
show us.
more.
And if we agree, we agree. If we don't agree, but I just think it's just where it's at. And unless we stop that block thing that we got going on up here,
Would you like me to have a meeting with her to
she's
try
gonna
to
keep
get
on coming down and asking
some of
us
these
to get
questions
rid of that.
answered? Finding out what she has done, what she hasn't done? I don't know, we can't,
Well, if you take, like Bob said, it's $33 a customer, I'm just wondering, like I
How
said, what
impactful
the
that is?
financial impact is on that $219,000 deficit that she's got on there.
I mean, that doesn't equal 219,000.
No.
Is she asking for all of it to be?
Right.
Or just the 1/3 extra that was starting January 1 was?
I think that the first step is that I have to have a conversation with her at least to find out what has she done?
What are you doing now?
What can we do to help? What are you asking us for? Is that really gonna do anything for you?
Yeah, is
Those
it
are
just
the kinds of
considered,
things.
is it for help, is it, you want
Right,
the whole
because-
thing wiped?
Ultimately, we have, was it 42 or 48 users up there?
48.
48 deals.
Ultimately, we have 48 utility users up there that are not paying the same amount as, you know, the person on corner X or over here, right? And our perspective is every resident needs to be paying their fair share for utilities. Now, if the funding mechanism for that is broken in this scenario, that's a totally different, I'm willing to have that conversation, and even if that goes as far as looking at every consumer in town with a line item saying public housing utility charge, I don't think any of us are prepared to go there, but if that's where we have to come up with the money, okay, let's have that conversation. But right now, just simply saying, I don't want to pay it, I still don't see how that fixes the problem, the financial problem that they have here.
Okay, so we're gonna end the meeting.
Before you go, can I just say a couple of words on that? I made the initial effort to see what the problem is there because I'm on the water light board. And what she told me, and this is only hearsay because I think the first thing you should do is schedule a meeting with her so she can tell you what's going on. The way I see this whole perspective is the fact that she's administering it and with no effort, in my opinion, no effort to try and resolve this. Right now, she said for the last 2 years, now going to the 3rd year, she's been paying the electric bill, the 1/3 and 1/3 for the 2 years, and on the book she's carrying it, all 3 years have been in the negative. Now, the only perspective that I can tell you is that she was telling me that she got a $52,000 assist from the federal government last year. This year, she's getting $23,000 starting the 1st of July. So there's a definitely financial impact there. I don't have the solution. I don't want to muddle anything, but I think she's just administering it there. And what I'm afraid of is when it gets deep enough in debt, either she'll walk away or the place will be turned over to the city and you're going to be left holding the bag. I think you should address that before that happens to resolve it. I do not have the answer. I think you have to look into the details of the finances so that you can make a good decision where to go forward. The only thing I can tell you is that Ben Verbeek and Anderson on Main Street got the building in '73, they put it up in '74, active. So for 50 years we've been operating under one item for one customer, and then we changed the process to 46 customers. We give her a grace of 2 because there's always a vacancy or something. So anyway, to make a long story short, the only way I think that will be resolved, it will be by some kind of involvement from the city to look to see where it goes. Otherwise, you're going to wind up, in my projection, in 5 years or even maybe less, you're going to wind up with a building either empty or to resell or something, because the way she's going financially right now, she's already 3 years in the negative. How much, I don't know. It's somewhere around 200,000 in the negative already, currently. So it's a big problem, and you can't kick it down the road, because if you don't address it, it's going to get worse and it'll wind up in your hands in the end.
So the taxpayers of Gilbert pay for that building?
No, we got a federal money for the whole thing, 100%.
So like I said, Zenith wanted to buy it, I'm sure they would take it right now.
That could be a solution.
That
just to
could be a
solve it.
solution, but you have to look at it.
It would switch to
Non-second.
non-low cost. So, and I think that's on the table,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, if it comes to that.
Technically, it stands on its own, but at some point, it's gonna wind up, the city will be held responsible for
And
it.
to be
because it's-
clear,
city got the money
The city
for
of
it.
Gilbert is not the only city in Minnesota that is facing this.
No.
This is
No.
not, we are not the only city in America that's facing this.
Right.
The funding cuts is tied directly to the
Nationwide.
one beautiful bill, whatever the heck they call it. That is where this funding for HUD and for public housing projects was cut, and is being pushed down to states, counties, and municipalities all across this country, and we have to fix the problems.
Yeah, and that's why I says if she would just call this person in Hibbing and see how I'm sure they got the same problems, and see how they're handling it. Shortage of funding.
The way I see it, she's administering it, she's not facing the problem, and at some point, someone's gonna have to face the problem and resolve it.
Yeah, her letter only asks to waive the base rate and fees for the HRA. It's not asking.
I'm gonna ask, can somebody from our office reach out to her?
Yeah,
Like, she just may
absolutely.
not have the contacts. I mean, it sounds like we've given her some, and there was a
Right.
question about a $20,000 grant or payout from us to her.
Yeah, but she has it on the letter. Do you have the letter?
Yeah, but it wasn't on the previous sheets that we got from her.
Right.
So there was that question too. But if the city's part by doing something would be reaching out to her, telling her, hey, here's some avenues you can look down. If she doesn't look down those avenues, I mean, that's not
It's on her.
our problem. That's her problem, but we can help her. You know, we can,
Right.
I don't know what we can do,
Yeah.
but just say, hey, try calling this person, try calling here. There's a federal grant, there's this, there's that. Just, I mean, you guys are strapped for time, and I understand that, but
Well,
we kind of need
we have
to
given
have
some
Well, there are
suggestions.
priorities and we need to
Yeah.
address certain things.
Here's another thing quickly, there is a board that handles that up there, and until they surrender to us, it's not a problem. Okay?
No, but it will be, because you're
It
gonna
will
wind
be,
up with.
if they surrender to us, that's our problem, but right now it's in their hands, they gotta deal with it.
Let's try to help them.
If they're not dealing with, she's asking us to deal with our problem, is the utility rate.
That's not our
The
problem.
utility
It's our
portion,
problem.
yes.
Well, it's a problem for her.
Right.
Right,
But that's not gonna help her problem.
right.
That's
No,
that's
then
gonna take a
that-
small chunk off of it, but she still has a bigger problem which we can help.
That board handles it up there, they have
Yes.
a board. Until they surrender, go away and go bye-bye, and that comes down.
But
here.
Carl, you gotta realize that the board that's up there is literally just a rubber stamp. She runs the whole thing. And in my opinion, it's gonna take more than just sitting there administering day to day. They're gonna have to research and chase and whatever.
If that's the way that board is run, they're running it the wrong way. They are the board.
They are the board, but it's a rubber stamp.
As,
Right now, I can tell you 3 of the people that are on there.
They're running it the wrong way.
And they don't even wanna come down to talk to the council.
They're like a council. That's what.
Mayor, so if you remember from our last meeting, that Attorney Lindsay did say that, you know, we appoint that board. We have the authority to remove members of that board as well. If we see that it's not being, that is our responsibility. Can we change the management? We do have oversight of that.
He
facility.
said there was some HRIs like that, he's gonna find out that this one was one of them, that we could intercede.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we should continue to explore.
He's gonna get back to us and we can intercede. There's, HRAs are not the same. If this one is one that we can intercede and go in there and do something, he's gonna let us know. That's what I remember him saying.
She doesn't wanna come down.
Okay, but he didn't say, he did say there's a different types of HRAs, and he didn't know which one this one was.
I'll follow up with Brian, to find out if they've done anything on it.
Okay. All right, we'll get more, take it up on another meeting again. Well, after you guys have that talk, okay, with
Yep.
Brian?
Yep, I have it.
Okay?
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with some simple to hard here. Charitable gambling ordinance is introduced.
Yeah, so if I may, so on this one, we had originally introduced language for a charitable gambling ordinance. After some review and phone calls from concerned parties, I went back to Attorney Lindsay to have some adaptions to that language. We have a new version that I would like to introduce that takes care of that situation. It essentially allows for entities that are conducting raffles to do that outside of this ordinance, as long as they don't only have fewer than 3 per year. That, I believe, would be a remedy for the situations that came to my attention. So I would like to adopt or add, to discontinue the previous version and start again with a reintroduction of the new language starting tonight. So that tonight would be the first reading, and then our next meeting would be the second reading.
Does it have a different number?
I don't believe it had a different number on what he submitted.
It would have to be.
We have to have a different number. Again, if we're gonna abandon number 114, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Then,
So I think it was chapter 114.04.
are you abandoning the whole thing? Or
Yeah,
just-
it's the whole thing.
Well, then we have to abandon the 114 and then adopt 1115. You know?
Sure, and I'm fine with doing that, how we
Yeah, yeah.
need to do it, so.
Okay.
So we have to reintroduce it to the council.
Well, that is the new language that was introduced in our packet, was the
Well, I thought you were
updated.
eliminating that.
The only thing that we would be changing was we would be changing the number, so I think changing the 04 to 05, so that we have a clear.
There will be 2 motions. I want 2 motions, one to abandon that previous ordinance.
Okay.
So
Sure.
it's done, not lingering in there, out there.
Okay.
And then go to the
I
new version.
can do that.
All right?
So the first motion would be to abandon the previously submitted chapter 114.04.
I'll second that.
If the word abandon isn't the right word, but revoke.
Revoke.
Revoke. Okay,
Pull back, whatever.
revoke that one, all right? Everybody understand that?
Brian, second.
Second it. We're gonna revoke 1114. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now we're gonna introduce,
Make a new motion to reintroduce ordinance chapter 114.05 with the new additions or the changes that the city attorney recommended to address charitable gambling, and so this would be the first reading of the ordinance.
Second.
moved by Councilor Skrillex, supported by Councilor Bertocci to introduce, I don't know if we need a motion for that, for introduction. You know, really. First reading. we can-
Well, I mean, it's an introduction, so that is
So
considered.
we'll give a motion.
Motion,
Discussion?
So the only other part that I'll put on here is I did have a conversation with one of the charitable gambling fund managers. So I believe there are 4 separate establishments that have pull tabs and e-tabs. So just one of them would generate approximately $1,000 a month into this. So we're looking at, if they're all the same, we're looking between $3,000 to $4,000 a month that would come into this fund. So one of the other things that I found out from Attorney Lindsay is that this fund would also allow us to use money from this fund for public safety purposes. So there could be some items in the police department or first responders or fire department budget that could come out of this fund.
Or like safety vests for the public works.
Yes, yep.
Could that be used for the parade too?
Uh,
That's separate.
3rd of July committee specifically is a 501c3, so there could be a donation for that, yes. So same thing with Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts.
Yep.
All right, what's the number again?
Chapter 114.05.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Quickly, do we have to take up C and D again? Everything's up in the air there, right? Do we get quotes for a lot of stuff?
If the washer and dryer, mentioned he wanted residential, regular residential, I will, get prices for that, I guess.
Because we talked about this, we're gonna get a second quote for the windows or any quotes.
Yeah, Bob's gonna follow up.
I'll
with
call
you.
them and have them
The locator,
bring them here.
same thing with the locator.
I think we're gonna get more information.
We're gonna get more information
Okay,
from.
so I'm gonna pass up on that. Fireworks application.
I move to approve the fireworks application.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Skirvich, supported by Councilor Vrtajnik to approve the fireworks application from the, what's the name of that outfit again? JD something? JD something? I gotta get the name.
Working session.
J&M displays.
J&M displays.
J&M Displays. Application for J&M Displays. Oh, so they want to move on that?
I did.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Paul and Rudy.
And Rudy, second it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Permit for Northland, I didn't forget number 8, don't worry about it. Permit for Northland small engine, I think we discussed that, everything's in order.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the permit for Northland Small Engine.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilor Skirvich, supported by Councilor Redeping to approve the permit for Northland small engine for construction of a full building. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. G's done. H, I'm gonna go to I right now. Oh, are we gonna sign on that rock? Okay, that, so we approve that. Allowing him to do that? I don't think he asked for a good cost or anything.
There's no fee,
Yeah,
he just wants permission.
permission.
Are we gonna end up having to accept that as a donation?
I don't know, how do you value it?
Good question.
Well, it's considered like putting a door in this building right
Okay,
here. You know what I
I'll
mean?
just give it a value.
Yeah, I would think that we would, for liability's sake, that we would definitely take that as a donation, because if something were to happen,
Yeah, so then we would need an actual
we should have
resolution.
that, right?
That's not his rock.
Right,
It's our rock.
right.
Yeah, but he's gonna
He's-
put
he's putting
a
something.
slab on it,
It's black.
a
Then we
separate
gotta skip it till we get a resolution.
Yeah.
want a resolution.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, staff help. I think I'm okay with staff help.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve one FTE staff help, no more than 67 shifts at the same rate at the Public Works summer help.
Is there a second on that? Second by Councilor Vrtajnik, motion by Councilor Skirvich. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, up on the clerk's, city clerk's search, I would just say, I wouldn't mind going to this $26,000. After though, we try to attempt to form a committee made up of former or current administrators and plus some counselors, 5 or 7, depending on what the council want, how many on you want. And if that, with the advertising that we should all be doing, I think we've done that before, statewide. If that does not work for us, and then I would go along with the second part of it. But I'd like to attempt this first.
You making a motion?
That's the make a motion for that.
Mayor stepped up, the chair made a motion to look for a city clerk search locally or through the council and help. Is there a second for that?
So does that?
You said
include forming
statewide, I
committee?
wanted to reiterate that.
Forming a
Statewide, forming a
trying to get a
committee.
committee going, bring it to the council for a vote. I'll tell you, I'll look for the vote, I'll look for the people.
Okay.
Tell me how many you want, 5 or 7? 5, I think, anyway.
5 candidates. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, discussion.
Due respect, Mr. Mayor, I do think that the only thing that this is going to do is lengthen the time of us getting somebody in this position. I know that we've done it this way in the past. I've sat in a lot of these types of executive level searches in my career. I don't believe that we have the knowledge and the expertise to be able to do this ourselves, to get the candidate or to get somebody in place in this position like we need to have done. I am strongly opposed to this and I will not support it.
Any more discussion?
If we go forth with this, is there a time frame that you were thinking till we go on to phase 2, which would be?
I would say my next council meeting, I'll try to get the people here so you can look at it and then you could say, okay, advertise and go on with this or whatever.
I think there needs to be some clarification. You had mentioned 5 to 7 people to form a committee, and then it was mentioned 5 to 7 candidates. So I think there's some confusion
You're
here.
talking about the committee.
Committee,
Okay,
candidates, once they get the committee, okayed by the council, then we can advertise. If the council okays the committee, if you don't like the committee, and then you can go to step B and do the $26,000 job. if you want.
But, I mean, we have, in this proposal, we have a comprehensive plan from start to finish, including steps to create that committee, to give it guidance, and to give it the checks in place. There is a comprehensive marketing and recruiting plan. There is a follow-up for how we provide mentorship to the person to make sure that they're successful once they're in the position. And simply forming a committee of people who happen to have hired clerks in the past, I don't believe is the right way to go. Fundamental to the problems that we've had in this city for the last 20 years is we have not done a good job in hiring. Any person that's been in business will tell you your most critical role is to hire and to do it properly and to do it with a process. What you're suggesting is scattershot at best. I don't think it is in best interest of the city to go that direction.
I think council in the past have done a good job with the process. Applicants, even with there's no guarantee they got the best applicants applying for the job. Both ways, the applicants are not guaranteed by either one, this committee or that agency. So we still save $26,000 by this committee doing the job. The applicants have done a poor job or whatever, and that's no fault of the process of either way.
I feel like they lacked the financial background, because when you look up the clerk definition, they are in charge of your finances and they need that financial
I'm saying
background.
this process of this committee or that outfit, finding the applicant or a candidate for that job is no guarantee either way. This committee or that process, there's no guarantee the right person is gonna get hired. Either way.
Can I make a statement? I feel a little bit put off by this whole thing. You're talking about a person that you want to hire that has financial background and that the process hasn't been working, and yet I'm in this position and doing the job, and you're all talking about it like I'm not doing a good job.
We need
I
a
just want that to
clerking
say-
background is what we need, clerking backgrounds.
Okay, so then should I step back and do the deputy clerk job and not do any of the clerk job that I'm doing?
I call for the vote.
Thanks, Rudy.
This is exactly how we got the.
I called for the vote, there's no more discussion.
This is crazy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 4-1.
Like I say, just need to try this, at least it speeds the process up. I don't wanna wait till September and then get another delay till October. These people need help, you just heard them.
Chair goes back to the mayor.
All right, motion to adjourn. Order, order.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Councilor Wojtaszek, supported by
I'll support it.
Councilor Redpain to adjourn at 9:47. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you. Good night.